writing them.
No, he's just saying it. Just reading the numbers.
You can hear us now. You can hear us now, Paul. We are live. You can hear us. Paul, calm down. There's a reason I turned all that shit off. It's for people like you. We're old and we're tired already. Also, I'm already losing all the weight. I'm down in the 100s now. We're okay. Everybody here, calm down, Paul. I like that we've been live. We appreciate it, but I like that we've been live. I looked at it. I said no. You said boo. I talked about it. Everybody was like, "Oh, ha, ha," and then they looked over and they saw like all the 50 of this, the 50 of that, and they were like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." He didn't redeem that. He's just literally saying, "Hey, do this. Hey, do that." And it's like, and every one of you had the no, and I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. That's my immediate response."
Twist?
That's when you like. Yeah.
When we were doing these, that's what the Russian twists were.
Yeah, they suck.
That's what I replaced the toe touches with.
It reminds me of a dance move, actually.
We used to do Russian twists, and I had toe touches instead.
So in my current workout routine, I have what you just call elbows to knees. So it's like you're laying on your back, get you like this.
Elbows to knees.
Basically, bicycle kick your knee, and you try to touch your elbow to the top of the knee.
Make your knees touch your elbows.
Yeah. Ow. Ow. Fuck you, Ellen. And this is why you do it lying down.
This is why he just wanted another visit from the sock puppet.
The shock puppet.
Ah, yes, that's the real payoff.
If that's all you want, all you gotta do is ask. You know, I got guys standing by.
Oh God, that is not what it looked like on camera. It looked like you put your hands in your pants.
Well,
who says I didn't? Who says he didn't?
He ain't back up yet, so no idea where he's at.
Meh. Bring it back to there we go.
You touching your schmeat?
Oh, poor thing. It sucks being touching this guy, you know. Every Tuesday.
You know what the beautiful thing about your hands is? They don't have a gag reflex.
That's an interesting saying. I guess if they did, I'd be extremely worried.
I'm sorry. Guys, I was watching MXR shortly before this, and the funniest thing was like the girl whispers, "I don't have a gag reflex," and the guy whispers back, "I'm not big enough for that to matter."
And then a third guy comes in and goes, "What are you guys talking about? Why are we whispering?
Why are we whispering?" All right. So guys, the other thing, the three of us, Fenris, Moon, and I have all watched the new episode of The Last of Us. So we did actually sit down and see episode 7. It was good. It was basically the Left Behind DLC. We very much enjoyed it. We liked it. Good stuff. Tomorrow is Destiny Day, so if you thought that, if you had any plans of contacting me.
Throw him out the window.
I'm gonna be playing Lightfall. 9 a.m. is when Pacific time is when it comes online. That's like 11 a.m. my time. I'm be coming home from like grocery shopping, and after I have an appointment with my nutritionist at 10:30 a.m. So like right after that. Oh, hello! Thank you, the Otaku Nerd, for the follow.
Hey, welcome.
I didn't hear the Twitch alert. I don't know why the Twitch alert didn't go off.
Bug?
I saw it, but I didn't hear the sound notification. I don't know why.
Probably a small bug.
All right, well.
A boog.
It is possible.
I didn't hear it, but I saw it.
A boog, if you would.
Part. Thank you for the follow. Abridges. Finally, someone will understand me. Yes! Hello, the Otaku Nerd.
Someone will understand me.
9,001. That means it is over 9,000. Yes.
What 9,000?
What 9,000?
Rowdy? Anyway. I got this.
Oh, it's
1,006. All right, so
Vegeta, what's his power level? 1,006. Kick his ass.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right.
That wasn't bad that way. That wasn't bad that way.
So hi guys. Two of us are the assholes. Two of us are the assholes that are responsible for bringing you that time I got abridged as a slime. And the other two assholes are people who are potentially voicing a bridge series for Fat Dog Studios later.
Potentially.
Potentially.
I don't know if I was pointing right on your screen, but for me, I was pointing right.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's inverted on Twitch too, so.
Right.
Good enough.
Or not like inverted, but reversed.
So, hi, I'm Richie. I'm the asshole that brings you such wonderful hits as Log Horizon Abridged. I wrote that, and I assistant directed, except for the last 2 episodes. Then I directed the last 2 episodes, 11 and 12. I wrote and directed those. And then Slime series, I write and direct those. I voiced the menu in Log Horizon Abridged, and Great Sage, in that, in Slime. And I'm also... I voiced Kaijin. I forgot that I voiced Kaijin. That's how long it's been since I did. Oh, lucky bastard! Little bastard is lucky and bastard got 2 of them. It's like, dude, I love that in our version. I love going back and watching like the Slime episodes because like in our version, it's not Vester is just like, oh, filthy fucking monster in my fancy establishment. No, he just looks over. Madam, there's a slime on your lap. I'll save you. And pours his drink on it.
It's such a silly line too, because it's like, you know, he's gonna just like make her lap wet from the drink anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh, her lap was wet well before that.
Way before that.
Way before that.
Riri was like, can I sit in your lap? And she just pulled a darkness.
So we're just a bunch of silly voice actors who are here to read some Slime light novels.
Yes.
All right, so what we're doing, just call you Otaku. Do you need an editor that does sound effects? I'm currently working in Progress Entertainment, but I have no energy to do lip flaps.
She's funny as shade yet.
I'm partially on like a dating app, and it says, "You'll know I like you if I tell you," and it's like, cool. Thanks,
Wait,
lady.
how nice. Partial dating app? How does that work?
I've been like half inviting people here and then half on there. So
see,
like,
half of me is sitting here thinking like my immediate reaction to like people asking if we need editors is like to immediately trying to go to is immediately going to like Freakazoid. Do I? But like the other half is like you should probably talk to Tony because I don't know, you know. I think we always need editors.
Go talk to this guy.
I think we always need editors, but I think we always need money for.
I guess this is a good time to bring out the Discord link, right?
I'm gonna tell you right now, Otaku, things are running slow. There was one point that I let slip that I can edit, and they were like, "Really? We're gonna send you some test footage." I'm still waiting on that footage.
You can work for free.
Should I just invite
he's like,
to the
I
slide?
can work for free, and I'm like, but we can't.
Would they feel okay with that?
No, we would not be okay with that. We pay our editors. We pay our editors, and it's great. And we do need more sound design. We do need more sound editors and SFX editors, and that's great.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
It's
post
$1 per render.
$1 per render. That's hilarious.
There.
That would be extreme.
Oh yeah. Jump in the Discord and hit up Fat Tony.
FH.
PH. Not FH.
Sorry. PH.
PH. You combined both with you combined both of the wrong fats. We appreciate that. The F and you combine the two fats together.
FH, it's like PH.
FH.
Saturated fats.
Yes.
Ooh, those are good. Those are cool. People like those.
Not the trans fats, because that's politically charged nowadays. You know.
Boy.
And here we go with the politics.
On the books.
No, because that's politically charged now too.
No.
Yeah.
Why is there politics in my fictional
slime?
Because
why is there politics in my slime?
You expected me to be annoyed at the question of, oh my God, let me work for you? I would say this. I would say this though. Before offering your services, you might want to take a look at our body of work and be like, okay, this is the level of quality of their work, and be like, do I want to work for these people first? Because you know, our level of quality might be shit.
Yes.
Yeah, you might be like, oh my God, these people are shit. I don't want to work for them. Or
Amateurs.
you'll just be
Or
like,
it might be-
easy.
or you might see it and you might be a little intimidated. But that's okay. Don't be intimidated. We're here to help.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's all good. That's also good. What is your
Foot.
opinion?
Okay.
What is your slime? Why is your slime in my politics? I mean, dude,
Your
did
politics
you
in my
not?
slime.
Did you not hear us read last volume? They were at the
Last
council.
couple of volumes.
They were at the council. There's plenty of politics in slime.
So many politics.
There's so much politics in slime.
Yeah,
and
sure.
one poor destroyed desk.
Yeah. Also,
Unpressed
a
material.
very recently accidentally murdered gay.
Gay.
Yes,
I
yes.
love it. He just
Yes.
backhanded that bitch. He was like,
Look,
he
Previously on Slime.
just accidentally murdered that dude. He just accidentally backhanded him into ash. He just accidentally Thanos snapped him. It was great.
He
To be
accidentally
fair-
one-punched man him.
To be fair,
I'd love
he
to do
was
sound
like
effects, so it doesn't really
He was-
matter.
he was
Also,
just
you
burying his
can-
own grave.
Also, I can music produce if you you do music production.
Just
At first you had my attention. Now you have my erection.
mm.
You all know what I'm
He
about.
does a lot of music, so
Yep.
We do a lot of music.
Yes.
Ah.
Any amount of music production is helpful.
You would be the second music producer, and all right. So once again, stuff that you want to talk to Tony about, because like he handles the
Tony.
money side of that. I am very much a creative. I am not the money person, but I am the creative. I am one of the creatives. I'm not the only creative. I am one of many creatives, but Tony definitely handles a lot of the creatives.
Fat Tony.
Again, Fat Tony, bro.
92.
We're just gonna, yeah,
PHATTONY.
we're just gonna direct.
We are literally telling you his username.
Like,
Fat Tony
my
92.
man.
We just said,
You
yeah.
type that into the search thingy on the Discord thingy. He should be the only name that pops up. That's the dude you send the message to.
Trans Fat Tony.
yeah.
No, dude, not trans fat Tony. Stop. Bad.
You're going to confuse him.
Go stand in the corner.
Monoglyceride Tony.
I am already in the corner.
Monoglyceride?
Yes.
God damn it.
Sorry, that's the Ochem side of me coming out again.
Ooh.
I'm gonna fucking stab you. It's almost
This lady's
8:30
pretty.
now. We have officially
Carbohydrate,
wasted
Tony?
the first carbohydrate.
Oh, this is nothing new.
Yeah.
See, half of me is like trying to get people in here, and half of me is like, "Ooh, she's pretty."
Unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks, Tony.
Unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks, Tony.
All right,
Yeah.
let's just skip the middleman here. Olive Garden.
Unlimited breadsticks.
We need a sponsor. We need a sponsor for this stream. So Olive
Olive
Garden,
Garden?
it is. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
if we could
Because-
get Olive
Do they
Garden
sponsor
sponsored, I'd be
anyone?
so
Because
happy.
Oh,
let's
please.
face it, only Olive Garden could feed the nation of Tempest. Because when you're here, you're family.
yeah.
That's that's
Okay,
true. It would probably be
here's the
cheapest option.
caveat, though. We all have
Because
to
when
have
you're
a
in
plate
Tempest-
of Olive Garden
Because
food
when you're in
on,
Tempest, you're
on
family.
screen.
Your family.
When you're
It's
in,
true.
Family.
When you're in Tempest.
Besides,
Hey, we'll
we'll
nick-
give you
Your
a name for
Honor.
free.
You're definitely a part of the family because we'll name you.
And guess
Mm.
what? That name comes with a power boost and potentially a lifelong
I will
evolution.
lick you in the
Lord
taint.
and Savior Rimuru.
I will lick
you might
you
be
in the
hotter.
taint. Shion, it's kick you. Kick you. Yeah, that. It's like-
Oh
What was the first thing I
God.
said?
what was the first thing? No.
Welcome to Tempest. We've got
Don't
all
worry
the
about
breadsticks and soup you could ask for.
Welcome to
Yes, sir.
Tempest. Your name is. That sounds about right.
No. Instead of the Rimuru thing is, all right, I want the track where we do the opposite. It's like instead of ba-doop, ba-doo-doop, ba-doo-doop, ba-doop, doo-doop. Hi, your name is. Hi, your name is.
Your name
Hi,
is-
your
hi,
name is.
your name is-
I'm Rimuru. Hi, your name is.
Your
hi.
name is. Hi. Your name is.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta make
Oh,
that
God,
music
that's great.
video or something.
He's on it. He's probably on it.
Hey, Otaku, your first project. Maybe. We'll get to that.
How long does it usually take to get anything out?
Months.
How long
Multiple
have we been waiting on
times.
episode
It
9?
depends. It depends on the project and Here's the thing. It depends on
you
the
didn't ask about the
project and how long. It honestly depends on the project and like how long it takes for like stuff to get. That depends on the amount of people involved and how long it takes other people to get in to get stuff done.
Yeah, because
How
other people
long-
have other
how
stuff
long
that
it takes-
happen outside
Here's
of
the
this.
thing.
There's
If
technical
we're
issues.
if we're talking about
IRL issues.
if we're talking about just me to put something out, like if it's just me working on something, a week. If I'm just doing it, a week.
A week.
A week. A week.
But that is him and him alone.
Yeah,
Only
if
his
it's just
voice,
me
only
and me
his stuff,
alone-
all him.
But it's never me and me alone. So it's always just like once I get started on working on something, like I can usually pump out a
Done.
script.
Here's a series.
I could usually pump out a script. To be fair, here's the crazy part. Slime 9, it took all of a week for me to have the script written, record all the dialogue just myself as the director, to record all the dialogue, to show all the actors, to have all the dialogue recorded, to send to my video editor so he could start putting the flaps together for our so Ray could put all the flaps together for the actual episode. We could go over everything and we could fine tune it and go through and have like a visual representation that I could show everybody, so that by the time we had the 5th draft done, which was basically that, it was like a week and a half, and we basically had the visuals done, everything basically done. A week and a half, the visuals were done, and then it was just going through and getting everybody's individual recordings, and it took about a month because trying to get everybody scheduled is a nightmare. So getting everybody's individual stuff, and then there was like casting for all the new characters that show up in Slime 9. There was auditioning for that, casting for those new characters. That took a separate month to do. And then getting all that recorded took a while because that scheduling is a nightmare. And then there was getting that stuff filled in. Then there's going through, putting all the sound effects to that, adding the music layer. And then Slime 9 is actually the end of season 1. So we have to do our own credits for that. And we're making our own music for the title credits. So we're doing a parody. So we're from the ground up, we're making a cover of Hallelujah called Rimaruya. So we had to
that's right.
We're having to compose the song from scratch. Then we're having to record a bunch of people singing the parody cover. So it's like in the multiple parts. So we're getting the melody sung, the actual principal melody, and then the individual harmonies, the 4-part harmonies, blah, blah, blah. Getting that all thrown together. I have to make the visual credits from scratch, put it all together, blah, blah, blah. And then Slime 9 is done. But it takes forever to put that together because it's all a bunch of different moving pieces and there's so many different people involved, and scheduling all that stuff is a nightmare. Yeah. So scheduling is what takes the longest. That's the biggest nightmare. So when everybody's like, why isn't this so getting done faster? It's like, because everyone else has a life.
And this is like a bigger, I don't want to say project, but like
So
this
is the
episode
season
has a lot
finale
more
sung
going
by
into
Steve
it.
and the Tempest Wolves. Yes. Steve and the Tempest Wolves featuring Cat Puff, aka the voice of Rimuru. But not as Rimuru. It's not Rimuru singing it, it's Cat singing it. So she's the lead.
She just happens to also play
Steve and the Tempest Wolves are the accompanying singers, are the backup.
Shut up, Steve!
No, you shut up.
Steve finally grows a backbone, like, whoa.
I don't have a life, start sobbing. So that's all the shit that goes into
You're in
it.
good company.
Also, here's the thing. Everybody, the music as it's sung and everything, like the arrangement and everything for all these, like it goes up on it's gonna go up on like, I think I don't remember how we said we were gonna do it. Like, we're paying everybody that's singing. Everybody that's singing is going to get a commission. Everybody that's singing, they're gonna get a commission for their singing, and then Calvin, for composing the music and everything, he puts it up on his wherever he wants to stream the music, whatever streaming
His
service he
social.
wants to put it up on.
Or his platform, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how we're doing it, and he gets the royalties for making the song. And that's how we've arranged it, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Guys, don't quote me on this. I'm not on the back end discussions on any of this. So this is coming from somebody who doesn't know all the ins and outs of it. This is just from kind of the vagaries of what I've heard about it. I'm just one of the voices that's on the track, and I'm getting my commission. And I wrote the song, so I get like a little piece of this. So yeah, I get a piece of the pie. I like doing the creative shit, and I like pie.
Yes.
But I
What
also
kind of
like
pie?
No
but
cookies,
I love
still
writing.
good.
It's no cookies, but pie is still good. Anyway,
Pie is a good
What kind of pie?
second.
Key lime?
Yes.
Why do you like key
imagine
lime?
that Steve ends this season with saying, "No, you shut up." Bro, that's a good one. I like that.
And then you have like a record scratch, and everyone's like, "Whoa, what?"
Whoa,
Something like
what? It's like,
And that's how you end it.
Yeah.
Shut up and sing the song, singer.
You fucking heard me. All right. So anyway,
I'm sick of this shit.
it's time. It's time we actually get to the book. Here we are,
Aww.
volume 11.
We
Look,
can talk
fuck
about the
you.
actual series later. Let's talk to you about the book first.
Fuck you. All right, we're starting on page. I love that you were like, "Oh my god, it's 50 pages," and I'm like, "It's not 50 pages for the fucking intro."
But it is two really nice pictures.
It is two really nice pictures.
Sorry, I have it separated by location.
It
There's
starts
like
on
a thing
page.
here.
It starts on page 3 for me, and it ends on page 13. So I'm like, okay, that's so much.
I don't know why
better.
it's separated like that.
No,
No,
you
like, my
Yeah, I
shut
page
up.
is
I saw
separated
the
into, like,
pages.
location.
Or I saw
Okay,
the
so
pictures.
a golden depression as the prologue, and then we have observation, research, and results for chapter 1, which is the reason why I named this episode Science. So
Science.
there we go. I felt it was appropriate. So we go ahead with these 10 pages and get started. Guys, now is the time. Ladies and gentlemen of the congregation,
I was waiting.
please open your holy books of Hebrewism. What the fuck is with the song?
I don't know.
My camera
It was nice.
doesn't work. I gotta
I
do
don't
something.
It was like, you know,
They're
background.
dancing too.
He's waggling in
Background
spirit.
harmonics.
He's
turned it
waggling.
Boop.
Boo Cosby.
Oh my god. I hope not.
We will have no pudding talk around the gelatinous slime.
No.
Thank you.
Oh, we will not.
So open your holy books of Rimuru to the motherfucking slime page of the prologue. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just imagine
Yeah.
Shem gets slimed first for some reason, like Nickelodeon slimed when you
No.
said that.
Nickelodeon slimed.
No, how dare you? Don't bring
Apparently
that.
that stuff is like actually
Gross.
like non-toxic and edible or something like that.
They
I didn't
make
never
it out
knew
of
what it was.
vanilla pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Oh,
was
so
like,
it is
Vanilla
food
pudding,
diet.
green dye.
yeah, so I was like,
Yeah. Anyway.
makes sense. So it gets
Anyway.
die. Anyway.
That whole thing started from a show called You Can't Do That on Television.
Mm.
And they
That's
did on
where the
television.
Nickelodeon-
They
that's a
perfected it with Figure It Out.
Which funny enough, You Can't Do That on Television was a Canadian show.
And there was nothing on there that they couldn't do because it was on television.
Because
Oh, okay. So they could you know.
Anyway, let's continue or rather begin with Shem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chapter 11.
Yeah, I love which it's not chapter 11, that's bankruptcy. We're on volume 11.
Yes. There.
Crown
Perfect hat.
Royal
Mm-hmm.
hat.
I actually don't drink this stuff. Just my mom gave me the bag because I thought it was cool.
It's also, I do think it's funny that you put a crown
Royale's a good drink,
royale on
though.
your head.
That was in the shape of a crown,
In the
kind of.
shape of a crown. You put crown royale.
Like he's a cardinal.
Yeah.
It's a royale with cheese.
Cardinal Shem.
You are.
Is that higher than a deacon?
You are rather cheesy. Hey,
Yeah,
hey, have you noticed?
true.
Have you noticed that in the Catholic faith, the higher up you are in the Catholic faith, the bigger your hat?
Yeah, that's true.
Look at the
Your
Pope.
hat is a direct symbol of your status.
How do you not know he's the Pope? Look at his fucking hat.
The correct term is Pope.
You play that meme with the guy who does a measuring stick. It's like
slippers?
that's pretty big.
Yeah.
I am the Pope.
Yeah.
And my name? He crosses his legs. It's Peppo. I'm a
Peppo.
Peppo. I'm a Pope.
I don't know.
I'm a
That's
Pope.
good.
Pepper.
I am a Pope, and my name is Peppo.
Kind of looks like a very defeated Fez.
God damn it! All right, anyway.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Bruh,
He's had a long day.
why are you
He's had a long
redeeming
day.
Toby pets? He's not even in the room.
Well,
you can pet
guess
me.
you-
That's fine. I'm not opposed to that. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
We need to have an email for giving him pets.
Bro, he's just wasting points at this point, man. It's like, oh damn.
It's fine.
It's like, you know what? We're not refunding
Bro,
this.
there are just a shit ton of like hydrates and stretches that
It's
are in
for
here
later.
that people have been that people
Oh,
redeemed
yeah.
like 8 or 9 days ago and like 5 days ago. Like people tried to make Chibi do shit and like she never
She never did it.
I don't know if she like marked them as completed. I'm just marking these all as completed, bro. Just like whatever.
Speaking of hydrate, I'm gonna get some water before I dehydrate.
I'm gonna fart. All right, so
Good.
you were reading until 9:30 my time.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah.
All right. A white manor, a garden lined with colorful blossoms, the young girl's smile, and a boy watching over her. It was a vivid, unfaded memory of happier times, and he wished to gain that happiness back. But it was difficult. He built a manor, a city of gold, with a beautiful garden that seemed to recreate the paradise of heaven above. It was even more splendorous, even more impressive than what his memories told him. But no matter where he looked, he just couldn't find the final piece of the puzzle. Even with his power, enough force to become one of the great pillars supporting the entire world, he was unable to get his beloved girl back. If she couldn't be found, the smile would never return to his face. He had, after all, established all of this for the sake of that one young girl. His name was Leon Cromwell, a demon lord known as the Platinum Saber, and the name of the girl he searched for. Or on the name of the girl he searched for? At the throne room of the vast spiraling palace looming in the center of the golden land of El Dorado that he ruled over, Leon exuded as much... I do like that movie.
Yep.
I'm actually... This description kind of sounds like, the Hades narrator. Like, at the throne room of the vast spiraling palace looming in the center of the golden land of El Dorado that he ruled over, Leon exuded as much military might as he could at the three suspicious-looking characters taking a knee before him. Something like that.
Take a knee.
Taking a knee before him. They were dressed unusually.
Yes.
All black clothing with large umbrella-like hats to match the weapons. Merchant Dumbrata. It went without saying that it was Laplace and his cohorts. You then. This is the second time, is it not? Yes, my lord. It remains a great honor and a joy to have made your acquaintance. However, we regret to inform you that we cannot honor the request for the certain classified materials included this order. It was Tyr who responded, looking suitably composed. Yes. I understand. I understand completely. They had the lone woman in the group handle negotiations, hoping to give the Demon Lord the best impression possible. That, however, would come to an end today. Now they would follow the plan Yuki devised and halt activity in the Western nations for the time being. Misha, one of the leaders of Cerberus, would take over as the main contact point with the Rozo family, continuing regular business, as Yuki's team moved operations over to the Eastern Empire. What's more, with the loss of Maribel, the power of the Rozo family itself had taken a major hit. The kingdom of Celtrozo was a main point of procurement for the classified goods mentioned, and right now it was unlikely the Rozos had the force remaining to perform the stable summoning ceremonies that were required. Plus, Tempest had now joined the Council of the West, which essentially meant the Western nations were now under the influence of the Demon Lord Rimuru. There would be more eyes on them than ever before. Everyone agreed that now was the best time to pull out. Oh, a rather bold thing to say. A rather bold thing to say. I see you're wasting no time demanding more money. Unlike Dumrada. No, Lord Leon, it is nothing like that. As you know, the Demon Lord Rimuru is attaining a prominent position within the Western nations. He appears to frown on the summoning of other worlders, and he strictly prohibits it. Thus, we have come to the painful conclusion that it will be difficult to continue defying his will. Listening to Tyr's brisk reply, all Leon could think of was, I knew it. He received similar reports from his plants in the Western nations. He was fully aware this was just a matter of time. Besides, this approach really had too many unknowns to it. In fact, the chances of success were astronomically low. It would have been foolhardy to expect success from the start. He was, after all, being far too specific with the type of summons he wanted. He had sent orders to his team, having them perform summonings on multiple occasions. Over 30 summoners aided in the effort, and it took 7 whole days to ensure that every required condition of Leon's was fulfilled when conducting the ritual. But it still worked less than 1% of the time, and since the same people couldn't be involved in another summoning immediately afterward, they had only so many tries. Their chances were close to 0 from the start. Leon himself had conducted a few summonings, but every one of them had failed. His last success produced Shizue Izawa, and 66 years had passed since then. The more you narrowed down the conditions, the longer the interval required between each attempt, and there wasn't much reason to expect the next summoning to work either. So he came up with the idea to perform incomplete summonings so they could attempt with more frequency. The person Leon was looking for.
You're literally just
heroes.
You're literally describing gotcha, and She's New is like the last 5-star they were able to pull.
That was the last. That was your pity pull.
That was the SSR.
To be fair, somebody already pulled. Yeah. Somebody already got the pull he wanted.
Yeah, that's true. The person Leon was looking for was still a young girl, so an incomplete summoning that resulted in a young child would boost their chances, no matter how slimly. So his project spread across the Western nations as he engineered as many attempts as possible to collect as many children as possible. Okay.
That sounds bad.
And I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die. Sorry. And now it had all come crashing down. Yeah. Good.
Can we play that clip again of him saying that?
No. Just whoop. And now it had all come crashing down. There was no other way.
I love that it was Kaiser that did that too.
Oh, the fucking 3 rares. Yeah. I like that.
He was like, "You're evil, aren't you?" Oh, definitely so. Yeah. Continue.
All right. And now it had all come crashing down.
If the moon landing was real, how come it's still in the sky? Boom. Toasted.
He's right though. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, yes.
Wait, you died because you tried to fuck a toaster?
Who said I've tried?
Yeah.
God damn it.
I mean, the Adeptimus Mechanicus have their ways of,
Life finds
Anyway.
God damn it.
And now it had all come crashing down. There was no other way. And there was no great idea or no new great idea to explore. Leon found himself burning with intense impatience, but still he kept his voice cool as he spoke. Rimuru, we have no treaties signed with the West, and I've made no request for cooperation. Interfered with in the end, but that's all in the past now. Why are you shutting off business with me? If the West is beyond our grasp, there's always the East. Leon's penetrating voice echoed across the throne room. The powerful coercion that filled every syllable was like a point-blank attack at Tyr, whose body froze. He was simply on another level. Your average Magicborn couldn't even bear standing before a Demon Lord, and even a strong, high-level one like Tyr had trouble dealing with Leon. But Tyr wasn't alone. Allowing me to explain that matter, my lord. To tell you the truth, things are starting to get a little suspicious over in the East as well. It looks like they're trying to prepare for war on the sly over here, or over there, so apparently there aren't any sorcerers free enough to take up the work. It'll be hard to find the personnel we need. Leon squinted at Lapis. Deep down, this annoyed him. He cared very little for what became of the East and West, but a dragged-out war would impact his own mission. He thought it seemed that he would need to reconsider his direction from the bottom up, but he didn't betray this on his face. His expression as cold as ever as he continued staring at Lapis. Facing the full brunt of it, Lapis grew uncomfortable. This sure is bad news. The fake demon lord I killed was nothing compared to this guy. Ain't nothing like the real thing and all that. Maybe the boss is right. Trying to exact revenge from him directly might not be such a hot idea.
The boss.
Yuki had... Yeah.
The boss.
It's an Italian mobster.
The boss.
The boss.
That's his internal
voice.
voice.
Wants to see ya.
The boss.
Yeah.
The sauce boss.
Boss, yeah.
Not the oh no, not the sauce.
The sauce, boss.
The sauce boss.
The sauce is moida on your kidneys.
The boss of the sauce.
What? Excuse me?
That's the sauce.
The sauce?
17710.
Oh, I get it. That's
There it
yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah, you know, and I shouldn't know. I really should know.
Yeah.
That
But
was
I know.
the only number I have memorized, and I wish it wasn't.
I was talking about epic
was that
meal
number again?
time.
Hold on.
But okay.
What was that number
Can you say that
again?
number
So I
again?
know how to.
Yeah.
What was that number so I know
It's
how to
all the-
avoid it?
What's the
It's
code?
a meme. Oh, good. Yes, you definitely want to
I know,
avoid
I know.
it. It's 177103.
I know what it is. I know what it is.
Okay,
You can't
good.
not know what that is. Anyway,
For real.
Pizza the Hut.
for real, yeah. We went like 80 different directions there, but you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All from
Yuki.
the boss.
the boss, yeah. I blame the boss.
Circle back around.
Yeah. Yuki had ordered him to refrain from any under the table dealings for now. Even with the very man who killed Kazalim right here in front of him,
Under the
Lapis had
tail?
no intention. Under the tail.
Yeah.
Under the table dealings
Boss's
for now.
tail.
It's a yeah.
Sorry.
Even with it's a Freudian slip, sorry. Even with the very man who killed Kazalim right here in front of him, Lapis had no intention of doing anything to Leon. He wanted to live up to Yuki's trust.
You
Yes,
dirty motherfucker.
I'm sorry.
Everyone wants some of that tail, you know?
I'm sorry.
Mm.
It's yes.
It goes great with the sauce.
The sauce. Yeah. So the only thing on his mind was carrying out
Those
his work.
motherfucking
Still.
hentai.
Yes. I was talking about
Why is there a
lobster
hen wearing
tails.
a tie?
Okay. Lobster tail is delicious with sauce. Come on. Anyway.
The
I was
world's
talking about
largest cock
pasta.
lives in hell. The world's largest cock is a tie collection in hell.
Mhm. If your sworn enemy is in front of you, of course you're going to gauge your chances a little. And as he evaluated his opponent's power, seeking out any small weakness he could find, he concluded that the Demon Lord Leon truly was a monster. If they had gotten into an actual fight, he couldn't say what would happen. Maybe he'd win, maybe he'd lose. Even if his cohorts, Tyr and Footman, joined him, there were no guarantee they'd emerge victorious. So Lapis was treating this visit as strictly work-related, but as he did, he correctly understood why Yuki had assigned this job to him. Or to them. The boss wanted us to see this guy for ourselves, no doubt. Know thy enemy and all that. Hell, even the boss said he'd have trouble with Maribel if they went toe-to-toe. She only messed up because Rimuru was more a monster than she thought. Of course, trying to gauge that guy's strength is a real tall order.
To be fair,
Maribel
wasn't shit compared to Rimuru. To be fair,
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Rimuru was just testing his power when he bit slapped Gay into fucking dust.
That was an accident.
Uh-huh.
Whoopsies.
It's not even an
He went-
accident. It's an
he went,
afterthought. It's just,
"Whoopsie."
oh, whoops. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Well,
Yeah.
literally,
Perfect.
Yeah.
literally the
Mhm.
only card the only reason that Yuki lived isn't because of his anti-skill cheat ability. It's because Rimuru was purposely trying to keep him alive.
Mm.
If
For
Rimuru
analysis.
wanted his dead, if Rimuru wanted him dead, you could be fucking dead.
It's called
Mm,
eating. It's called gluttony.
Mm.
Mhm.
It could just
Well, I mean-
eat the...
No, gluttony wouldn't work on him because he's a skill.
Oh?
No,
Yeah.
gluttony's
yeah,
a skill.
that's what I was thinking, but
Gluttony's
However,
a skill.
Rimuru's sword is
However,
not a skill.
Rimuru's sword is
Ah.
not a skill, and Rimuru could still kill his ass.
Mhm. And he's still just a human, so
Mhm.
I mean, anyway.
At the end of the day, Rimuru is way more powerful than Yuki. At this point in time, Rimuru is still way more powerful than Yuki.
Mhm.
What
Just
now?
his
Rimuru is,
compassion and empathy gets in the way.
Yeah, like if Rimuru
So-
did not have like the characteristics that he had, Yuki would be like,
Annihilated.
yeah, Yuki would be fucked.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And then it'd just be, oh, Yuki died. Hey, suddenly
Yeah.
everything's getting a lot easier.
yeah.
Rimuru's faith
Wow,
in
this
his
game
friends
is suddenly
is
on
his
easy
more
mode.
downfall.
God damn.
I mean, it
You
kind of
accidentally
was, though.
killed Yuki. Congratulations,
undoing.
you won. Wait, what?
Yeah. Congratulations, you won.
Rimuru. Wow, I might have put too much Rimuruism into that slap. God damn it. All right.
Rimuru's faith in his friends would be his undoing.
Kinda.
Rimuru's-
It's kind of true.
Rimuru's faith in himself would be his undoing.
That's true, too. Anyway, Maribel's
no,
fatal
but-
error. Hey, to win. Maribel's fatal error had been misjudging Rimuru's strength.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that someone like her, a born talent when it came to schemes and strategy, decided to directly engage her target was a blunder in itself. Lapis thought so, and so did Yuki and Kigali. What could she have been thinking? What did she fear? As a third party, it was hard to imagine what had made Maribel decide this was a war of attrition and to try to end things quickly no matter how disadvantaged it was. Besides, it was Yuki himself, in the end, who had guided Maribel towards that line of thinking. Maribel certainly overestimated her strength, there was no debate over that, but Yuki was the one who planted the idea in Maribel's mind that she had a fighting chance against Rimuru. Weaving together a web of false information, he had successfully put all her plans out of order. Not even Yuki thought for sure that Maribel would lose, of course. His goal was to pit these two forces up against each other and gauge their abilities. It ended up with the Demon Lord Rimuru winning, Maribel, a thorn in Yuki's side as well, dying, and Yuki himself becoming the new master of her unique skill Avarice. That was what he really wanted, as much as it stunned Lapis into silence that once he heard about it. You couldn't really aim for someone else's skill like that, but as Yuki put it, he had a hunch it would work. Crazy. Completely mad. Maribel's luck failed her, to be sure. Once it became so clear she was talking up her prowess too much with the boss. Nothing can beat the power of information in the end, and that's true for Leon, too. I hate to say it, but unless I'm sure I've got the upper hand, staying hands-off with him is the wiser choice here. Such was his conclusion. So they decided to halt their plans and focus on expanding their influence and gathering intel. Those objectives hadn't changed, and now that Yuki's goal was realized, they had no reason to stick around in the Western nations. Now they were trying to wriggle out of their dealings with Leon without making him blow his top. Lapis couldn't let himself falter against the pressure of Leon's gaze upon him. He distracted himself by talking some more. Now, mind you, this ain't the end of our dealings forever, my lord. We'll contact you once again once the coast is clear, so to speak, for summonings. We're just looking for a little more time until then. And remember, we have a network spanning the globe, so if any kids wind up in this world in the meantime, we can scoop them right up for you. Well, our hands are tied on that front. I will leave that matter to you then. Well, I do have one more question. But what would that be, my lord? Why are you so loose-tongued? Lapis gave Leon's question a befuddled stare. He had no question where or when he might have misspoken. Did I screw something up? Ah, well, if he's willing to continue working with us, let's keep this party going. It didn't faze him that much. In his mind, life had to be enjoyed to be worth living. Even if he made a mistake, as far as he cared, that was then and this is now. Resisting the urge to lunge at Leon, Lapis quickly made up his mind on the matter as Leon spoke. Is it really right for merchants, so keenly aware of their self-interests, to speak so loosely of affairs such as war? If Damrada were here, I don't think he'd do anything quite so foolish. He had a point, but Lapis still felt he was in the right. Yuki had ordered him to make that statement, and he told him about something else, too. Recalling it, Lapis could feel all the pieces falling into place in his mind. The next thing Leon was likely to say was, "What are you hiding? You seem to want to point my eyes toward the war, but you have to try better than that." The question was exactly what Yuki predicted. It put Lapis at ease, even as it exasperated him. There was just no dealing with him, is there? The boss knew full well that the conversation would turn out this way. Leon, reading Lapis's words too deeply, surmised that he was hiding something. A demon lord like him, who correctly knew the value of information, mistakenly thought this was some scheme to distract him from some other goal, but it wasn't. Lapis and his friends were just doing what Yuki told them to. There wasn't any deep thinking behind it. It was a simple fact, but one there was no point in telling Leon. He just assumed that Lapis was making futile excuses. This was all the work of Yuki, who wasn't even in the room, and there had to be some meaning to it. And of course, Lapis had some hints. Yes, Lord Leon, you're a shrewd character indeed. To tell you the truth, this really is the end for the confidential goods for now, but we actually still have 5 at a certain location. These were the kids that Shizue Izawa intervened with and took care of. Yuki had wanted to leak word of the children in Rimuru's case or care to Leon from the start, but if his team simply blurted it out, Leon might have assumed there was some ulterior motive behind it. That's why he waited until the end of their chat to instruct them to save the children. His uncanny ability to predict a conversation, something that could potentially flow in any direction, was one reason why Yuki was such a fearsome presence. It even scared Lapis a bit as he continued following Yuki's instructions. There were 3 boys and 2 girls, you see, all otherworlders. The problem is their location. It's a spot we don't have access to. Shizue Izawa. Shizu, is it? And this place is Tempest, is it not? You got it. I hate to disappoint, let me tell you, but we're all merchants here. We don't want to expose ourselves to too much danger. By the way, their names are Ken Mizure, Ryuzeki, Gail Gibbs, Allison, and Scoey Colbert. Before Lapis could recall their names, Footman, silent until barked them out. Oh, that was him.
Mm-hmm.
Yuki, picturing Footman as unsuited for negotiation, and only asked him to memorize that name list. Yes, those are the ones. Not that you'd have much interest in unavailable goods, my lord. Lapis smiled. Leon, meanwhile, frowned peevishly. Your diction leaves much to be desired. Are you sure it was Scoey and not something more like Chloe? Footman gave an irritated question, no answer. Any further prodding, and Leon's anger might develop into an all-out belligerence. Footman, after all, was in the most danger out of anyone in this room. Normally, it would have been smarter to not say anything, but despite riling Leon up, it wasn't the wrong move to make. Excuse him, Lord Leon, Tyr said. The names of otherworlders are always difficult to transliterate into our languages, so they're likely not completely accurate. But if I may, I was told the names aren't important regardless. She bowed, and Lapis and Footman followed suit in vaguely comic fashion. Indeed. The names don't matter. I pin the blame for losing these goods on you, but it's not enough to count as violating our terms. I will accept your intelligence about an upcoming war as ample apology. Swallowing assorted emotions, Leon maintained a cool composure, and with that, the meeting came to a close. Lapis accepted the money for the goods provided, and he and his cohorts put El Dorado behind them. Well, what to make of that? Leon whispered after they left. His long hair tied back in a ponytail shone a beautiful gold color, a stark juxtaposition to the gloominess in his long eyes. Standing at attention next to him was Arlos, the Silver Knight, his advisor and one of his closest confidants. Should we do away with those three? If they've upset you, Lord Leon, I see little value in keeping them alive. Leon scrutinized Arlos' words. Compared with Damrata before, this trio had acted very suspiciously. He wondered how they and Damrata could even share a profession. Leon barely trusted merchant types to begin with, but he also wanted to avoid conflict with the Cerberus organization. He may have had his agents planted across human society, but compared with that massive group based in the East, expanding its influence in the West, it wasn't even a competition. So he coldly decided that he'd use them while they were useful. In particular, he believed that humans were better suited than monsters for rooting out otherworlders. If he wanted to reach his goal, Leon required human help. Let them be. I'm more concerned about the information they had for us. If the Eastern Empire is truly about to mobilize, we could very well have a world war on our hands. I don't know how the other demon lords will react, but I hardly want us pulled into worldwide chaos. Indeed, my lord. All of El Dorado shines under the light of your authority, but I can easily imagine large-scale conflicts across many other lands. We must be prepared for that. Arlos nodded at Leon's reply. El Dorado, the land Leon ruled over, was a continent of its own, separated by oceans from the rest of the world. In Earth standards, it was larger than Australia, and every inch of it was Leon's domain. A gigantic active volcano was perched in the middle, constantly erupting the whole year through, but the ash it spewed was carried away by magically conjured wind, never falling on the beautiful central city. Nearby, the volcano had laid a vast variety of ore deposits, which were worked into assorted types of magical metals. The gold ore veins found there produced so much precious metal that Leon was secretly dealing some of it to human civilization. The city was the pinnacle of glory, the crown jewel of a kingdom protected by magic. That was how Leon pictured his golden land of El Dorado, and not only Arlos, but everyone else who lived on this land would want nothing less than to be dragged into some ugly human war. I will have some emergency defensive magic ready for deployment, but I will put our security protocols at their highest level. Yes, if you could please. But things never work out the way you want, do they? What do you mean, my lord? I mean war. If enough people die in one, it could awaken some creatures that would trouble all of us terribly. I know Juan. Is it Juan?
I think it's John.
John? Okay. I know Jean, the original Yellow, is slumbering in this land somewhere. I doubt she's taken physical form yet, but Leon groaned. Sorry. It was so ridiculous.
No. Here's the thing.
It was all ridiculous.
Here's the thing. Jean is about to disappear.
Yes. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be Thanos. Or she's going to be Thanos.
No.
Oh, something else. Okay.
No.
No.
Diablo.
What was the Empire? Oh.
Diablo's about to...
Diablo.
Yoink.
Yeah. Yes.
Yoink.
What was the Eastern Empire? Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
He's gonna mine.
Yeah. Diablo's gonna come in and go, and I'm taking this for Sir Rimuru, and literally.
Oh, I can't forget this.
Like literally, the original yellow, the original white, the original purple, Like, just coming in.
I gotta have the full collection for my collection.
Can't grab the full collection. There are 2 other originals that are already taken by Guy.
Oh, I gotta get the other 2. I gotta have the full set.
Can't. Guy has them. No, can't. Yep.
Yep.
Me.
Yep.
What was the Eastern Empire thinking? He didn't know, but any war naturally involved a lot of death. The more blood that was shed, the more monsters exposed to it would be energized. In the worst case, it could awaken 1 or more dangerous demons, a true calamity for humankind. Leon, with his unique background as a former hero, knew exactly how foolish that was.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Leon used to be a hero, then he fell from grace and became a motherfucking demon lord. So he was already crazy powerful, and then he became a demon lord.
Ooh. So, I mean, Reamer's kind of headed in that direction, but he's not there now. So
he hasn't fallen into the dark side yet.
Yeah,
technically, you could think about it as a flip. He was a demon lord, and then he flipped to a true dragon. I gotta get the Rainbow Demon Brigade for my senpai
when he comes.
Yes.
Yes.
Look, no, I'm just thinking about it because after
it's like getting all the Power Rangers.
After a certain point, literally, he's kind of got Guy and all of his buddies in his back pockets. So it's kind of like Rimuru just walks up and goes, "Look at all me lucky harms."
Lucky harms, yeah.
Hi, Toby.
Good. Toby.
All our favorite colors.
All me favorite colors. Look at all me lucky harms.
Jesus Christ.
But you don't have the other 2. I don't like those colors.
You know.
All me lucky harms. Hi, Toby. Look at all me lucky harms. All right, sorry. Please continue.
That's okay.
We're almost.
Of course, as a demon lord. Yeah. This was just him being sentimental. While it saddened him to see, no matter what sort of misfortune all those unknown faces witnessed, he wouldn't lose a wink of sleep over it. No, Leon's concern was about a far less likely possibility. What if, by some chance, this harms the very girl he's looking for?
Mm-hmm.
If that time should arrive, let us show the full force of our powers. Yes, I look forward to seeing that. Also, allow me to deploy a few Azure Knights to their nation as well. Leon and Arlos placidly nodded at each other. No need for detailed orders. Arlos had a gift for reading Leon's intentions and putting them into action. Make it so, Leon said as he closed his eyes. Then in the now empty chamber, he opened them again and stared into space. Scoey Colbert, though? I know I shouldn't expect too much, but that's almost too close to her name. Even if it's a trap, I can't ignore it. Whether it was a trap didn't matter. The Demon Lord Leon's ultimate goal was to find her, his childhood friend, and the girl he had to protect. That girl's name was Chloe Aubert. Dun 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 dun. Sorry.
Dun, 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 dun.
Chapter 1. Observation, research, results.
In one corner of an opulent mansion, a shady-looking group was relaxing on sofas surrounding a table. The site was a base used by the Cerberus secret society in the West, run by Misha the Lover, one of the group's bosses. The woman attending to Misha provided tea for the guest, bowed, and left the room. That was the signal for the conference to begin. Ah, I see. It went well then. Listening to the report, Yuki Kakurazaka smiled broadly. He went exactly the way you said he would, boss, and I thought for sure Lapis messed it up at first. Lapis is a careful man, but he's not a born negotiator after all. Whoa, hang on. I'm better than any of you guys. Tyr and Footman only seemed to be on the same page when they were picking on Lapis. He complained loudly about it, but wasn't truly offended. It was just some friendly banter. Well, it all worked out, didn't it? I'm just glad you managed to keep your cool with Leon right in front of you. Yeah, because honestly, I half expected you to resort to violence in there. If it did, all it meant was cutting off ties with the Demon Lord Leon. Now that they had decided to lay off the Western nations for a while, Yuki laughed the concept off as no great shakes. He was a terrible man, I tell ya, the dejected-looking Lapis said. But why'd you have me tell him that about the kids anyway? Yuki shot him a half grin. Oh, it's nothing really. Leon's trying to collect incomplete kids. And I'm all but certain that's so he can expand his fighting power. But part of me wondered if there's something else behind it, you know. So you wanted to reveal it to him that the Demon Lord Rimuru has 5 of them? Not just that. We can still only guess at how Leon's treating these kids, you know. Ryu saved him by showing them how to handle spiritual force, but Leon doesn't know about any of that. So I was interested to see how he'd react to these children he thinks are doomed to die pretty soon. I see. That is a curious question, yes, and depending on his his reaction, we can try predicting his next move. For now, we got nothing. We needed to jolt him a little, I suppose. Yeah, you see? I mean, it was more out of curiosity than anything, though. That's just how I am. I sweat the small stuff. Kagali and Lapis could appreciate that. As Yuki said, he was worrying himself too much about this. What if they wanted to peer into Leon's intentions? That piece of info was a useful way into it. What if the Demon Lord Leon took action? He wasn't rash enough to take on Rimuru just to gain 5 more fighters for his side. The risk of riling him far outweighed the potential boost to his forces. Leon was smart enough to see that. Normally, then, he'd let these children be, but what if he didn't? If he didn't, it meant Leon had some other goal in mind. However, Kagali said, I doubt Leon would do anything drastic just for the sake of a few children. You don't think? Because I leaked info on that war, and I got nothing but funny looks for it. Was I wasting my time? It would have been pretty interesting if Leon made a move, but the chances of that were low. Kagali and Lapis saw the wit of Yuki's idea, but both assumed that it wouldn't amount to much. All Yuki could do in response was grin at them. Yeah, like I said, I'm sorry. But unless you massaged or messaged it like that, it would have been weird. Massaged, okay, it was massaged. You massaged it like that. It would have been weird if you just talked about the kids out of nowhere. If you started with that, then with your acting skills, I don't know. He paused, but his intentions came across well enough to the group. I hate to say it, but it's true. Footman's too tongue-tied and short-tempered, Lapis is shallow and fishy-looking, and I alone could have never pulled it off. Oh, that's Tyr. Tyr, acting entirely blameless, made Lapis roll his eyes and Footman sneer at her. This, too, was often how their conversations went, but then Tyr seemed to recall something. Maybe I'm overthinking it like you said, boss, but there's something that bothered me a little, too. Oh, what's that? Well, when Footman rattled off the list of goods, Leon was all, Leon? He asked about the names again. When Footman said, Scully Colbert, he replied along the lines of, Are you sure it's Scully and not Chloe? If he claimed that the names didn't matter, I don't see why he would even care, but... he's just high-strung like that. You know? He fusses over the details. Ho ho ho, so irritating, isn't it? Maybe he was just poking some fun at my pronunciation. Lapis and Footman saw no major concern. Yuki and Kagali, meanwhile, exchanged looks. What do you think? I doubt he would have reaction if he truly didn't care. Yeah, but really, there's no way he... That's just too much of a coincidence, isn't it? Well, if it's fate we're dealing with, there's no such thing as never... You know. So you think he really... It would indicate to me, yes. The Demon Lord Leon's primary goal is that girl, Chloe. Seriously? Yuki looked stunned. If that possibility was correct, it meant that he had just inadvertently tossed away the upper hand against Leon. Kagali, meanwhile, was even more frustrated. The anger was written all over her face. If that was Leon's goal all along, then her comrade Clayman wouldn't have had to be killed. Huh? Tears couldn't hide her surprise at the unexpected possibilities that sprung from her conversation, or her observation, but it was the cold, heartless truth. Are you kidding me? Is that what you really think? Yuki and Kagali were born schemers, that much is true, but not even they had insight into everything. They always thought 2 or 3 steps ahead, ensuring they could handle any situation that arose after failure. Lapis knew that as well, but even he thought they were overreacting this time, and Footman solemnly nodded his agreement. Well, it's just a possibility. Not one we can afford to ignore, but nothing set in stone yet. So your curiosity didn't cost us anything after all, huh, boss? Cost? Hell, it might have even earned us a hell of a lot. Right. I don't want to expect too much, but if things turn out that way, wouldn't it be pretty fun? If we work things right, we could use this to pit a couple of annoying demon lords against each other. That's a win-win on our end, I say. Yeah, it's not like it matters to us who wins in that case. Let's just frame this as more fun in the wings. Ho 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 ho. I still think we're overreacting, but it's no harm done. Well, no need to go overboard on the expectations. It's not like everything's gonna go the way we want it, you know? Lapis, sensing everyone relaxing a bit on the issue, attempted to sum matters up. Once the group nodded in understanding, it was time to move on to a different subject. Misha called for her attendant and got her another round of tea going. So, how about you update us on your stuff, boss? Lapis asked after a brief break. Yeah, I'm concerned about that Chloe thing, but we can focus more on that later. Let's move on to the main topic. Yuki nodded at Lapis and took a sip. Then he smiled and went over the fruits of his negotiations. While Lapis and his cohorts were dealing with Leon, Yuki's side was involved in high-level talks of their own, with the shadowy figure that ran the Western nations. The topic? How to clean up after the whole Maribel affair. As you know, the cover story is that I was under Maribel's control, so she's taking the entire blame for this. Ah, now you're working to back up that story? Exactly. I mean, if I was under her thrall, I couldn't really head out to the Eastern Empire, could I? No, you're right. Yeah. I thought that was kind of off, too. Regarding this avarice power, it was a toss-up whether I'd be able to grab it from her. More than that, my main aim was just to get Maribel killed. After she was, I'd be free to move around again. So once I firmed up that position for myself, I thought it was time to negotiate with the venerable Granville Rosso. Yuki's sights had been aimed squarely at Maribel. He needed to distract her so he didn't completely lose his position in the West. And eventually, that distraction led to her death. With her out of the picture, Yuki had his free will back, and anything nefarious he did before could be framed framed as Maribel's orders, and it worked. Maribel's gone. Yuki had obtained powers far beyond what he expected. The negotiations went similarly well, and what he had heard there was the main reason why Yuki called for this meeting. So, if you don't mind me starting at the conclusion, we have one more job to do before we head east. He glanced at the surprised faces surrounding him, trying to look serious. Got that. Now let me give you all the details from start to finish. With that, Yuki began describing his conference with Granville. We were at peace, and in Rimuru, the capital of Tempest, every day was packed for me. Once things calmed down a bit, I sent out another ruins expedition team, but they didn't find a body or anything. Either Yuki was telling the truth, and she blew herself up, or he'd done something to her. Regardless, any issues stemming from this incident had already been swept away. Maribel was a princess of the kingdom of Celtrozo, but spreading word that she attacked us in the ruins would just aggravate the situation. So I contacted Celtrozo on the sly and had them chalk it up as an accident, something made possible by our mutual desires to keep it from becoming a big thing. Once you're an old enough royal family, accidents are just part of the package. So our arrangements went pretty smoothly. Still, their king and queen just seemed so emotionless to me. Though under those parents, I could see why she relied on her knowledge from her past life so much. Had Maribel gotten to enjoy a normal, innocent child in her life, would things have turned out differently? I couldn't help but wonder, but as much of a what-if thing that was. And that brings me to 5 elders. Granville Rosso, eldest of all, boss of the Rosso family, was the real puppet master pulling Maribel's strings. I've been steeling myself for some kind of retribution towards us, but there had been nothing. Perhaps they were admitting they were up to some no-good antics and decided not to respond as long as we kept our mouths shut. It'd been over a month, actually, and Granville had kept mum, and that was more than enough time for our needs, too. Taking advantage of Soei's information and grasping the goings-on in the Western nations underground, we were now sure there were no greater threat over there than the Rossos. We did pick up on a few groups of interest along the same lines as the Sons of the Velt, that mercenary team, but it wasn't clear whether any of them shared in our interests. If they were clearly hostile, that was another matter, but we had no reason to rile them. I didn't want to go prodding any hornet's nests I didn't have to, so I decided to just keep tabs on their movements. We were on good terms with the Free Guild and enjoyed the backing of the Western Holy Church. Really, I don't think any organization was big enough by now to pick a fight with us. It was only natural then that Tempest was now leading the largest faction in the Council of the West. At the start of another peaceful afternoon, we were holding our regular cabinet meeting. In what amounted to the blink of an eye, our nation had all but taken the place of the 5 elders. And maybe that's why we had this pile of new issues to deal with. The Council of the West, after all, played an enormous role in establishing consensus among the Western nations. Councilors voted on measures to enact, which basically meant that the more councilors you sent, the more of a say you had. Now that I had at least some goods on every nation in there, though, the group's members looked upon our representatives as mediators of sorts. Our rising influence in the West thus meant the number of complaints and petitions sent our way was skyrocketing. Talk is cheap, of course, and apparently a lot of people were taking advantage of the bargain to push their pet projects. This is exactly why world domination is such a stupid idea. I don't think you get a single chance to take it easy if you're in a ruling position. Now I understood why the other demon lords didn't seem to care much about lands outside their boundaries. If you wind up inadvertently taking over some destitute area or another, you're obliged to address whatever people are dissatisfied about there. People talk about eliminating disparities like it's easy, but from the eyes of the one doing it, it never went that way. The right way, I imagine, is to take that region's assets, their labor, their resources, cover the expenses, and redistribute the resulting profits. You want to be careful with siphoning in wealth from other nations because you might start to have real inequality on your hands then. Now that our nation had led the largest faction, the other nations were looking for payback. We can shut them out for now, but before very long, we're bound to have an opposition on our hands. The question now was, or became, who we'd sent to the council as our permanent representative. We needed someone smart, sociable, and possessing a certain amount of charisma. Ideally, someone with the force to talk someone into submission, but also, sorry, but I'm out. With that sort of thing, the first person to speak up wins. I will admit to having the gift of gab, but I had zero intention on taking on more trouble for myself. I'm not sure I can either, Benimaru said right after me. The previous council meeting taught me all too well that I don't have the stomach for these mind games. In a battlefield with no physical combat allowed, I'm as good as useless. I felt he was being a bit modest, but he likely meant the most of it. Likely meant most of it, excuse me. Benimaru certainly would have trouble against all those sly old nobles. My mission is intelligence gathering. I cannot afford to leave my position as Rimuru's eyes. Soe was out too, that much I expected. I didn't want him to lose, or didn't want to lose him either. Geld bowed out as well. He had a common sense, but I knew I could rely on him, but I had left a mountain of important work in his hands. A construction schedule was packed, and he definitely didn't have the time to take on more. I thought Geld would be a fine counselor, but I would have to eliminate that choice for the time being. With which left, me? I passed a quick glance at Gabiru, quietly taking in the proceedings up to now. Gabiru, surprisingly enough, was a pretty sensible person, and I could, maybe see him shining in this important post. Well, all right, there was a lot to be anxious about with him, but there was really no one else. Hakuo was my military advisor, charged with building up our soldiers. Shuna could be trusted for the job, but if she left for that, it'd impact work around our own nation. Rigurd and the other goblin elders were off the list for similar reasons. We had tons of thorny issues to tackle: a legal system for our new nation, negotiations with other countries, managing our growing population, and much more. They were taking the lead on all those issues, and if Shuna or Rigurd departed, it could grind the whole thing to a halt. We were training a new generation of leaders, yes, but I wanted to see them grow some more first. I am in the midst of a project to capture and bring back wyverns to train as mounts to improve our air offense. It requires the extensive use of a great number of types of potions, so I would like to continue recording data for this project. Ah, yes, there was no doubting that Gabiru was the right lizard man for the job. It seemed better to let him nurture our budding wyvern forest than to send him off to the council against his will. All right, Gabiru, keep up your current work. Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Gabiru was visibly relieved. I didn't want to force him into anything, so this, I thought, was fine. Maybe I've wound up expanding our forces in too much of a hurry. It was a poor idea to spread my hand out when I didn't have enough trained personnel, but the workload just kept on rising. It was a problem, but, well, let's see if there are any other choices. And just as I thought that, my eyes settled on Shion. She was staring at me, all eyes all a sparkle. Sir Rimuru, I denied. I reflexively cut her off.
Aww.
She was volunteering, I assumed, but she was out of the question. What? Why? She asked me, surprised. The question itself was also a surprise to me. Let's just pretend for a moment that you are a counselor, and let's say there's some pudgy, leering elderly man in front of you, another counselor. And now this counselor's placed his hand on your shoulder, all friendly-like. How would you handle that? It's obvious. I'll grab the man's neck with my left hand, lift him up, and punch and punch and punch and bzzz. Hence why she wasn't in the running. Shion's grown, I'll admit. I had no doubt about that, but there were still a lot of situations that made me anxious with her. Like before, for example. I found Shion in the dining hall. She gave me a big smile and presented the dish in her hand. Sir Rimuru, I've been waiting for you. I finally made a cake all by myself. Here you go. Here you go. It tastes the same as Lady Shuna's cooking, with several times the quantity. Please, go ahead and try it. I was already regretting this, but Shion was proving to be a capable tea brewer, and that must have put me off guard. Thanks. Appreciate it. Unconsciously, I accepted it. That was a mistake. A large block of something resembling opaque jello was on my plate. My face fell. This is cake? Staring at this object, I looked around for assistance, but nobody was there. Did they all escape? No, Gabichi was at his post, sprawled out on the kitchen floor, so there's one victim. So I now realize,
boom,
yeah,
boom.
just
another one bites the dust.
She's just dead. So I now realize I had visited the dining hall at the worst possible moment, but it was too late. Hey, this is cake, you say? Yes, I perfectly recreated the taste. The taste is perfect? So everything else about it is awful? Shion certainly seemed confident, but watching her only made more butterflies materialize in my stomach. Regretting my carelessness, I decided to take a single bite. You could predict the results. I scooped up just a bit with my spoon and brought it ever so slowly to my mouth. I thought I was going to immediately retch. It felt like jello, but the taste was all sugary, sweet cake. It was gray in color, and the feel was decidedly gelatinous. It instantly reminded me how important the look of a cake was to the overall experience. Well, not just cake, but with any kind of food, visuals are key. If you just tossed a bunch of ingredients on a plate, nobody would find that appetizing. What do you think? It's good, isn't it? She smirked at me. I know she wanted to say, it's perfect, isn't it? But she just lacked the fundamentals, and by fundamentals, I meant she was tripping over the entire definition of what food is. Sit down. Sit down there, please. We need to talk. Huh?
That's more like,
what's
sit
wrong?
Down. Sit down, there, please. We need to talk.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, so he's like, hey, sit down.
It's like, all right.
We have to talk about your performance review.
It's time.
Gotcha.
It's time. This is long overdue. Fuck.
We need to talk. Yeah. Sit down. Sit down there, please.
Rimuru
we need to talk.
Rimuru.exe has stopped working.
which takes a lot.
Yeah.
What? Huh? What's wrong? Shion's smirk melted into a pair of teary eyes. Her head was already tilted downward, but I didn't let that stop me. The ensuing lecture lasted a very earnest 30 minutes as I explained to Shion what cooking was. She seemed remorseful at least, and she promised the next time she discussed things with someone else and follow their advice. And so forth. After that lecture, I recalled that when Shion was practicing her tea service, Diablo was guiding her through it. He claimed that a mere taste test of her work upset his stomach, and such sacrifices on his part were what helped Shion grow so well. If I let her practice by herself, she'd never notice where she was doing or where she was going wrong. Leaving her to her own devices, then, was a mistake. No matter what the task was, Shion always relied on her innate special skills to get fast results. It's hard to grow that way. She needed someone overseeing her. Thus, there was no possible way I could name Shion as a counselor. If she caused any problem or any kind of problem in the council, it could shatter the relationship I'd taken all this effort to build with humankind. And if I wanted someone there to stop her if she flew off the handle, I had a pretty limited pool to pick from in this nation. If I did have someone like that, it'd be far more effective just to name them counselor. Like Diablo, maybe. I think Diablo could handle it pretty well. I kind of let my true feelings fall from my lips. Everyone in the meeting room nodded. Yes, Diablo would put us all at ease. It'd be easy for him to cajole these nobles into doing our bidding. And I doubt he'd ever back down against violence or take bribes. Rigurd, Benimaru, and Gabiru all deeply trusted Diablo. Shuna and Shion joined them. With his brains and cleverness, I'm sure he'd make things go your way, Sir Rimuru. I hate to admit it, but my undersecretary is a talented man. Besides, if he can get out of my hair and go to Inglacia for me, my job as first secretary will be more important than ever. I'm not sure you'd find anyone more qualified. They all seemed in agreement. I know. She's just
Numero uno. That's me. I'm the best.
Yeah,
Number one, baby.
Yeah, you ain't first or last.
Yeah.
They all seemed in agreement. Shion had less virtuous motives, perhaps, but there was no doubting her appreciation for his ability. Nobody voiced any objections, and there were no other brilliant proposals, so we settled on Diablo being our top candidate. But I'm sure he'll hate it. You know, I get the feeling he's going to despise doing odd job work like that. That's why he's gone out to look for minions of his own, and for all I know, maybe he'll find someone good at negotiating for me. So for now, let's call Diablo the main candidate, subject to future changes. That seemed good for now. Yeah. Of course, until we actually pick someone, it'd be me showing up for all council meetings. Or for council meetings. I wanted someone else in there fast, so hopefully I thought Diablo would be kind enough to come back soon. This was an urgent issue for sure, but for the most part, it was my problem. Fortunately, after deciding to wait on Diablo, the conference ended without any major hiccups. Nothing beats peace. It's a good thing, not having any problems, and it's even better to have some free time to enjoy. So I decided to pay a visit to Kurobe. Why? Because thanks to having some more time on my hands, I discovered something I wanted to talk about. I called for him upon entering his workshop. Kurobe, you got a moment? I waved at the nervous-looking apprentices as I went into the inner room. There I found Kurobe observing a row of several swords. Ah, Sir Rimuru, just who I wanted to see. There's actually something I wanted to report to you about, actually. Oh, to me? What's up? If he had something to report, it was likely some new work of his. He always gave form to my ideas, working with Kaijin to develop all kinds of things, so presumably he had created some other useful item for me. And I was right. Well, regarding the thing you asked about earlier, I think I have the complete version. Kurobe pointed at the swords in front of him, in all shapes and sizes. Judging by how happy he looked, I assumed they were pretty special. But what did he mean by what I'd asked about earlier? I blather on and on about all sorts of nonsense on the regular, so I couldn't recall exactly what he was referring to. But a quick assessment took care of that.
Understood. This weapon is a broadsword level unique.
Ooh, it is a unique. And if Kurobe crafted it, it's gotta be quality. But I didn't think that'd be enough to make Kurobe act so self-assured around me like this. With his talents, he could forge several uniques in a month, or uniques a month. If he employed his usual methods, he could finish up a blade in a day. These averaged unique in quality. Even if they were failures, they were still in the upper echelon of rares. If he was more thorough with his work, that took 2 or 3 days, but it pretty much always resulted in something unique or better. He was still far away from crafting a legend-class weapon, it seemed, but I really believed he'd do it someday. Plus, if you had a talented fighter wielding one of his blades, that alone could progress it up to legend, I thought. He chose all his materials carefully, using only the purest of magisteel. Weapons made from that took on the will of their owner to evolve further, so I really didn't think it was long before we'd see our first Kurobe forged legend-class blade. Thus, I assumed he wouldn't go this far out of his way to show off some more uniques, but I took a closer look at the broadsword. The most notable thing on it was the marble-sized depressions at its base. 3 of them. Otherwise, nothing stood out. It was a perfectly capable sword, of course, but I wouldn't say it stood out of the pack among Kurobe's creations. If one of his apprentices was behind it, that was another story. This might be a strange thing to say, but it was a completely normal unique. There was no special inscription magic applied to it, apparently, but hang on. Now I saw something. What's this? It's an impressive unique, nothing too rare for you, is it? Hiding my excitement, I pretended not to spot it. Oh, did you forget? This is special, this is. It looks like a normal weapon at first glance, but no magic's been applied to it. But you won't believe what it features. At this point in time, not even my, Raphael's analyze and assess skill could find any unusual effects to it. If it was what I thought it was, perhaps I should expect a lot. As I stood there, heart thumping, Kurobe took out a glowing ball, then casually installed it in the hilt. Just stick it in a hole like this, and then...
That's what she said? All right.
Yeah.
So first off, Buster Sword!
I know, I'm like, ooh, broadsword.
So here's the thing.
He's making the prototype of that effectively.
Motherfucker just made a materia sword.
Good.
Motherfucker, we just made materia. Of course, Rimuru's a Final Fantasy fan.
Yeah.
Remember when he was talking to Yuki originally, he said, how many Final Fantasies are we up to? And then he said 19.
We're almost there, right?
No,
we are working on the 16th.
Yes.
Yeah, we're almost
Final
there.
Fantasy
so
16
a couple more
is
years.
what's coming up. By the way, I still have massive love for Final Fantasy 15. It is basically the boys go camping, and I'm okay with
the boys go.
Finish that game.
Boys.
It's so good. It's so good.
The boys. Yeah.
I have fun with it every time I get into it, but it's also such a giant time sink. I know as soon as I put 2 minutes into it, I'm done for the day.
I feel like a lot of those are.
How dare you? Ryuma 7 is the best Final Fantasy. You go fuck yourself. It is the most overhyped Final Fantasy.
Hey, who wants to talk about Blitzball?
10.
Final Fantasy 10. Let's go, guys.
All right. Here's the thing. 8 was my favorite Final Fantasy. It was my first Final Fantasy. I will still say that 10 is probably the best story.
Is it because Squall has a gun sword?
No, again, 8 is my favorite because it was my very first.
My first was 7, so technically.
Yeah.
But,
I will straight up forever and a day say I will
remake.
still say forever and a day 7 is the most overhyped Final Fantasy.
That's fair.
Now, 7
That's
remake,
fair.
I will stand up and say that 7 remake is better than 7. All day long. I will straight up say that 7 remake.
I need to play it.
The music is still timeless, though. Oh.
The music for 7 is the fucking bomb. No,
oh my god, dude.
I'm not saying, dude, like how they handled 7 remake. And by the way, Rebirth is coming out soon. They're already starting to show stuff for Rebirth, and I'm looking forward to that. And it's only coming out on PS5.
Oh, well, that's not
great.
terrible.
Yeah.
For now.
And then eventually on PC.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
And then eventually.
Kind of relevant side note: the classical music station that I listened to going home, they were like, "And now we're going to play some video game music from Final Fantasy." And I was like, "What the fuck? No way!" So they played Aerith's theme while the snow was falling, and I felt really sad.
You like.
I was like, "Oh."
breaks to the ground. The car stopped. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was like, what the
I would
fuck?
have loved it if they did play
So-
Sephiroth though. Sephiroth.
That would have been
seems
awesome.
amazing.
Like all of the
Just
old people
driving-
listening to
Funny
the
story,
station, are
guys.
like, what the fuck?
Funny story, guys. Please try and remember that One Winged Angel is not actually Sephiroth's theme.
That's right. That's fuck. That's
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just related to him or associated with him. So yeah, but I forgot who's. I will say it's one of the most memorable things in fucking video game music history. But you know, I digress.
Oh man, dude,
Nothing's more terrifying than taking on that motherfucker with a keyblade.
Dude, that boss sucked. Okay. My
Said
cousins and I
7
spent
remakes.
so
Why is his
long on
sword
that
so long.
That's what she said.
because it's funny. Because it's really funny.
All right.
Actually, some people were debating on what the amiibo was gonna look like because I have it, but like
Here it
some people
is.
thought like the sword was gonna be like outside the
Like,
box,
stick out of the
covered in
box,
plastic.
yeah.
No, it'd be great if it came with like a sword extender, so it's
It
like,
had a-
you know,
yeah,
charged off this long, and
Where
then
they
you add the
literally,
other thing,
like-
then it's like,
Yeah,
Like, it's the box. It's the box, but they literally just put a condom over the sword.
So-
No,
Yeah, it'd be kind of funny. So
I would
just,
imagine it be more like
Oh
sword sold
my
separately.
God.
yeah, it's like in a 2-pack box, but
Yeah.
like the sword is like way
The
off
sword
to the
gets its
right,
own
and he's
amiibo.
on the left. Yep.
I
They-
lost.
don't
yeah,
put it
yeah,
past
like,
them to do that. They would totally
I-
fucking do that.
I mean,
imagine
this
if you
is
lost
Square.
the
This is-
sword, you could buy a
this is Square.
replacement.
This is the company that still has not given up on NFTs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Please don't remind me of that.
It's like, I guess they're just so deep into it, like they
Guys.
have to
All right,
commit or
so-
something,
So
or look like jackasses.
they already look like jackasses.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're the
Anyway.
NFT, like literally they're the
there's
NFT,
no doubt about that.
They are the NFT bros of like the gaming space. They already look like jackasses.
Gamers.
At
you
this
know, yeah.
point, they are the Logan Pauls of the gaming space.
Ooh.
Gross.
That's
Which
Gross.
by the way, guys, happy news to report, he finally lost a boxing match.
Eh.
I
Got
mean, it was by
beaten.
decision. It was by decision. He didn't get
still
knocked
lost,
the
though.
fuck out, but he lost. Yeah. So there you go. All right, anyway.
Report: the
Oh.
weapon broadsword has transformed into the magic weapon broadsword.
And now Moon takes over because it's past 9:30.
Yep. Cool. I'm gonna blow my nose real quick.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I thought for a second you said you were gonna blow your load real quick, and I was like, well, sir.
Whoa!
All
He's
that
been
talk
holding it
about
in for an
swords,
hour.
huh?
And Final Fantasy.
Aha! What was once a regular weapon was now a magical one. So that crazy idea of mine was finally in production. Whoa, you really completed it? So you have noticed, Surimaru? That's right. This is the exact mechanism you described to me. Right. I did discuss this idea with him. I
It's a
knew Kurobe was
motherfucking
always
buster
working on
sword.
his research, but I had no idea he wrapped this up so quickly. It almost scared me. He was a taciturn man, never one to brag about his achievements, but this work explained with perfect eloquence how great he truly was. He was. Truly, a role model for all artisans. Wow, Kurobe! I mean, Kurobe! This is amazing! Seriously! This is the most amazing invention ever! I was now audibly excited. Kurobe gave me a satisfied smile and a strange nod. Wonderful.
Oh,
Now he was smirking. I had almost never seen a smirk look so natural on someone's face before. Shion's smirk mostly irritated me, but here, I just had to hand it to Kurobe. There were several ways to craft magic weapons. In my case, I could use Raphael's combined disassemble skill to easily apply magic effects to just about anything. Kurobe could do something similar, but Kaijin and their apprentices didn't have the ability to cheat like that. What did they do then? The most common way was to have an enchanter inscribe something on it. Dole knew how to do that, so he would come around to inscribe what this workshop finished. This completed the magic weapon, and then you just had to run some magic power into the inscription to trigger the designated spell. But you could only infuse a weapon with so many different spells. 2 was usually the limit, and once you inscribed a spell, there was no removing it. The other method, as I think I've mentioned a few times before, has to do with how the weapon evolves. Once it's exposed to the magic force of the user, weapons will often have certain extra powers applied to them. It's tough to aim for this, and it takes a lot of time, but sometimes a weapon gains unexpected force. This method was also the subject of ongoing research toward a way to streamline weapons. By the way, I had donated part of the large cache of unique weapons we obtained at the Emerita ruins toward his research. I wasn't expecting it to lead to quick results, of course, but it's important we kept up a continual effort. So what had Kurobe just made? Oh, just something that rendered everything that came before it obsolete. I first brought up this idea while drinking with Kaijin and Kurobe.
Of
First,
course it
we
came up
take
from drinking.
You know, would be a really
all
cool
the best
idea.
ideas come out when you're drunk.
Or in
Look
a
at you
shower.
panning and stalking.
Or in the
A
shower.
lot of music comes out that way. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Or pooping.
Pooping.
First, we'd take a sturdy magisteel weapon, perfect for the transmission of magic. Next, we'd create a set of magic-generating external plug-in cores. Then, I theorized, you could have a magic weapon that wasn't hardwired for just one spell or the other. For example, what if you placed a magical stone infused with elemental force in a sword? The answer was the blade before me. And it wasn't just some magic stone in there. It was a high-purity jewel. What do you think, Sir Rimuru? Just like you pictured it, or just like you pictured it? So here's a sword with holes ready for magical expansions. That's what she said.
That's
I
And
think
meanwhile,
Square Enix gonna
Kaijin
sue somebody.
Phrasing.
Right?
Mhm.
Kaijin succeeded in compressing magicules into these pure, refined magic crystals. Kurobe held his nose in the air. So Kaijin was part of this. Generally, it was Kurobe who forged the base weapon, and Kaijin who put in the jewels and other final touches. It took the two of them working together to complete something as wonderful as this, I assumed. We call these element-infused magic stones element cores. We just call them cores around the workshop. Gabiru's been out capturing wyverns, so since Vester had some free time, he helped with the research too. These two had been working on spirit cores, you know? A kind of reactor, right? He said they already had a way to infuse magic stones with the four primary elements of earth, water, fire, and wind.
Okay, pause. Guys, once again, every time Moon reads, there's going to be moments where his internet or his Discord does something stupid.
No! Fuck!
No. Yeah.
It always happens. It's inevitable. It's just a fact of, like, whatever.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, it happens. It's going to keep happening until, like, it gets solved or he moves. I know he was talking about moving somewhere eventually.
Yeah,
where
it's gonna happen like August-ish.
Yeah.
I wonder if port forwarding would help, but that's, I don't know, maybe later.
Anyway,
We tried doing that.
He's
That's
a
right.
very long way from
Yeah.
like the router / modem.
Unfortunately.
So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a
Might
thing.
also be your service
It's gonna
too,
be a
but-
thing. So that's why we encourage you to read along and not just watch and listen in. That's why we keep saying,
We are
hey,
not
buy
a
the
substitute
books.
for that.
We are not a substitute for that. So please get the books and read along with us.
Please support the official release.
That's what we're doing. That's what we encourage
Yes.
you to do. Guys, we have the books. We're reading. We pay the money. You should too. It's not that expensive. Also,
It's only $9.
Today.
another thing that's gonna happen on top of once we get done here reading Mushoku Tensei, I am thinking about gathering a group of us up as well because I did just realize that solo leveling is actually a thing that's on Kindle. Yeah, and I was like, oh shit,
Mm.
we could read solo leveling, and it's not just
I have to look
all
into
right,
that.
the manhwa is on Kindle, but they also have light novels for solo leveling on Kindle, and I'm like, motherfucker, I may just turn my channel into a light novel channel or something. Like we may just read some crazy shit. I'd be down for that because solo leveling. If you have not checked that shit out,
I have not.
oh my god, that shit is so good.
There's a lot of anime that's on my list.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
solo
About to
leveling
read.
is a Korean manhwa, and it is freaking fantastic.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's so good. It's so
Very
good.
cool. Mhm.
It is translated on its own site. It is kind of the one that kind of started the whole TuneCore thing or whatever.
Oh, like webtoon
Yeah,
stuff.
webtoon. That is.
Toon,
That
yeah,
is.
ToonTube,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, webtoon.
I read a
That's the
couple
term
of
you're looking at.
recommended to me, but it's like some of them are like hardcore yaoi, and it's like, oh, interesting. Okay,
That's not that. It's not one of those. It's not one of those. It's one of
Okay.
those.
You sure?
Yeah, it's not one of those.
We don't need tissues
Okay.
on standby.
Definitely check out. Definitely check out Solo Leveling if
There's
you
some
get a chance.
interesting ones,
It's pretty interesting. It's like what
Nothing wrong
happens.
with that.
What happens
Either
when the
one.
weakest? What happens when the weakest like player ends up getting the ability to become like the strongest motherfucker, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And just becomes like the strongest solo player kind of guy and just fucking starts yeeting through everything. Yeah, like it's
So Kirito / Saitama.
no,
Sorry,
no,
I'm just.
no, so much better, so much better.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
may be going to the wrong website. No.
Yeah, you might be going to the wrong.
Yeah.
You might be going to the wrong website there, Chief.
Wait,
Alright,
so you're
anyway.
telling me that
I know
most
the website.
Korean manga webtoons aren't full of big bara dudes hitting on each other?
No,
Huh.
no, they're not.
Yeah, no.
That
Huh.
one and everyone is returnee, but I don't expect.
Oh,
that.
okay.
Okay. Anyway, hey, Moon's internet. He's about to
Okay.
read. Be a petty dick and move if he
Be
died. That
it'd be a pretty dick move if I died at that moment.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
I recalled Ramirez lecturing me about how it was key for Spirit Core to generate all the elements at the once, or something. If Kaijin's team was working on that, making stones with just one element must have been simple by comparison. Beyond that, it was all about adjusting the core sizes and output levels, and there you had it, an element core composed of one of the 4 basic elements. These were, of course, disposable items. Once the magic inside it ran out, it was just another pretty jewel. But Kurobe told me that these could be reused if brought back here. So there's no way to recharge the energy inside? Oh, there is, but it requires an experienced magic user infusing their own force into the core. So it's not for laypersons. I see. Sounds like it could create some new jobs, like workshops you could bring weapons to and have them charge up their magic for you.
What?
Yep.
Charge stations. New ways to fund economy. So hey, if you've got mages out there who are looking for work and can't go out there and slay monsters, what if they could create shops where they could charge these magic cores?
That's
There
awesome.
we go.
We'll call it a magic center.
And the wheel of the economy keeps turning.
Yeah, turn.
Turning.
The wheel of fire.
The wheel of fire.
I don't have
Continue.
an STD. All right, anyway.
Oops.
Yep. I think on the field you'll want to pack some spare with you. That could be a mark of its own. True. I thought that maybe shops dealing in monster drops could mix in some magic core sales, but now I figured we could have our entire dedicated stores for them. But you need to be careful. This is still in the experimental stage, but depending on the combinations you try, you may wind up changing the elements. Combinations? What did he mean? You can change elements? Wait. As you can see here, this sword has 3 pieces to insert jewels. Knew it. So if you insert 2 opposed elements into the same weapon, you'll wind up with some element you didn't expect. So if you insert 2 opposed elements into the same weapon, you'll wind up with some element you didn't expect? You got it. Kurobe nodded at my guess. That was big news. This definitely needed some more R&D. Then, not the kind of thing we could put on the market that fast.
You having trouble with that previous paragraph there, Chief? You want to redo that paragraph? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Kurobe
It
nodded
happens.
at my guess. That was big news. This definitely needed some more R&D then. Not the kind of thing we could put on the market that fast.
Negative. All data used within the labyrinth can be collated and organized.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It'd certainly save us some research time. So in terms of safety, the labyrinth would be ideal. In that case, maybe we ought to bring on a few labyrinth challengers and have them generate a bunch of on-the-field inspection data for us.
Just give it to Masayuki.
Right? Even if they made some amazing discovery that way.
That would be
After
too
all,
easy.
Just be like,
The
hey, guinea pig, come here. But don't call him that to his face.
Squeakers.
Hey, buddy! You'd be a really big help if you took this sword.
Masa Squeakus.
Mouse squeakers.
No, Mouse-a-squeakus.
Mouse.
God damn it, I love it.
Yeah.
Mouse Yuki.
Instead of a guinea pig, it's a
By
guinea
the way,
mouse.
we have a new test subject here that we run a lot of our experiments on. His name is Mouse-a-squeakus. A little
Actually,
mouse
my
comes out
name
wearing
is
Masayuki's clothes. Squeak squeak.
Mouse.
Why does it have my clothes?
But they're
Don't
but
worry
they're the
about it.
mice. But they're the mice from fucking Demon Slayer, like the yoked out fucking muscle mice.
We've genetically modified them to be superior.
Yeah.
To be superior.
We've ran a lot of experiments on these mice.
I'm
Okay.
Chief Master Sergeant William Candy.
We're currently working toward having a mouse
You
army.
can fix it.
Okay. The tech could still only be produced within Tempest. Maybe some of it would leak, but if we were gonna bring this to market, that'd happen sooner or later anyway. Better to have them test these weapons out in an easily controlled environment. By the way, what kind of dangers do you anticipate? Well, you can insert as many jewels as there are holes. So if there's just one hole, no problem there. But if you put in, say, a wind core and a fire one, that results in more force. Water and fire reduce the force, but water plus 2 fires caused the thing to explode on us. It wasn't just the 3 times the force, more like several dozen times. So I was just talking with Kaijin about the need for more testing.
So basically, don't put 2 fire cores together, or you'll end up like Palestine, Ohio.
Yeah. To get isekai from the isekai world.
So instead of Truck Kun, you're dealing with Train Senpai.
Let me tell you,
Nope.
every time motherfucking what's his face, Kazuma dies in Konosuba, because I'm finishing that up.
I don't know.
I'm
what you're
sitting
saying.
here like, would he just go to another world? Would he just go back to
Or-
Japan?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think so,
technically,
yeah.
he just goes back to the god, but
He
the
just-
goddess
Well-
is like,
Well, yeah. Well, then
The guy
there's
was
also the
supposed to-
phase of like, I could send you to another world where you'll be really happy. I think it's like the first time he dies again
Oh,
in
yeah.
that world. He's offered that, and then Aqua's like, "Come, get your ass back here! What are you doing? What did she
Which-
tell you?"
Side note, and I brought this up in my reactions, all Aqua has to do is let him die. Her pact is done. She goes back.
yeah. But
Does
she's,
she know
you
that though?
No,
her-
she's too stupid.
Exactly.
There you
the
go.
point.
her intelligence is 4 or something like
She's
that.
dumber
Yeah.
than Grog.
Yeah,
God.
Grog.
I have an intelligence of 6. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Grog can't read.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
Like
She
that's-
has nature's
no,
beauty.
No,
She thought that was a good
literally-
idea.
Literally, that's canon in the campaign.
No.
He
Yeah.
can't
Hold on. No,
read.
Nature's Beauty
Yeah.
was one of the best things to ever come out of, because it kills me every
Mhm.
time she's like, turn undead, turn undead, turn undead.
Nature's
Beauty.
Turn on dead.
Kills me. I love it.
You know what? That is totally worth it. Yeah.
I did get recently, well, most of the way caught up in the cartoon. It's a good cartoon.
Going to Suba?
So, no, well, that too, but the
Oh, okay.
Critical
Vox
Role
Machina?
cartoon. Yeah,
Oh,
Vox
yeah,
Machina.
Vox
It's pretty good.
Machina. Yeah.
I enjoy it. So,
Okay.
The
good.
show.
Anyways, where the fuck was
that
I?
show.
Oh, yeah.
The show.
Where were we?
Sounded like there were some pretty dangerous combos. More experimentation was needed, yes, and we'd need to test every result. Just as Raphael suggested, putting them in the hands of labyrinth explorers was our quickest bet. Is 3 holes the maximum? That
Oh.
depends on how brave you are.
Heyo!
Oh,
Everything's a hole if you believe hard enough.
Yep, 3's the best we've ever managed. You're not trying hard enough. In fact,
Up to
a
5.
3-hold weapon was apparently something they had around a 1 in 100 chance of forging, and that was with Kurobe's full effort. Thus, they still only had this one here. Their apprentices, meanwhile, were still way too green to craft anything like this. Only 4 of their most advanced students successfully forged weapons with 1 jewel slot. Even Kaijin only managed one with 2 holes, which
Alright.
tells you something about how tricky these are to make. All this talk about holes, and I could only think about Soul Eater.
just shut up and fill
Is
the
that,
holes.
is that the only thing you could think of?
Yes,
Look at-
because
no,
the weapons
look
are
at me.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so-
not the only
oh.
thing.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
yeah,
oh.
yeah.
oh.
Oh no!
The weapons are people. So anyway,
You put the pieces together.
Oh.
That is the of like, oh, I just put everything together after years of knowing this.
Anyway.
It all finally just clicked.
I need to read.
Anyway.
Yeah. So this is the only successful 3-slot weapon we have so far. But with the right combination of cores, I think you could easily get Legend class force from it. Kurobe sounded proud. Freudian slip. Woo!
You motherfucker.
Kurobe sounded proud.
Freud,
Magic swords are already valuable enough, but if one lets you change its element on the fly, that just blew away all common sense. Imagine a magic weapon you could flip a switch on, so to speak, and instantly strike at your enemy's weak element. It was amazing. I couldn't even guess at its value, but I don't think Kurobe was kidding when he hinted it was Legend class. And with the right configuration, it really could be a Legend class force. From the bottom of my heart, I had to congratulate Kurobe and his team. It was astounding. Based on our discussions, we decided that core-compatible weapons should be sent to the labyrinth first. We'd also manufacture a large number of throwaway, non-rechargeable cores and toss them into the maze's treasure chests. And once Kurobe's apprentices could learn how to craft these weapons in bulk, I plan to make those into labyrinth boss drops ASAP. 3-slot weapons weren't going to be easy to make, of course. But the way I heard it, those plans were doable as long as we didn't strive for top quality. If we cut the durability enough that the weapons drop down in class, that ought to be doable. You see any problems with that? Nah, I think we can make it work. They'd be pretty brittle, so I wouldn't want to rely on one in real battle, but... Kurobe seemed a little reluctant, but his stuff still ought to hold up well enough for testing purposes. As long as we could get some data on the assorted core combinations, I was happy. So hopefully we could find a way to make lots of weapons with 2 or more slots and get them into Labyrinth Runners' hands. Besides, serious Labyrinth regulars weren't idiots. You'd have to be a third-rate dungeon hacker to risk your life over some mystery weapon. I figured people could switch between their regular equipment and an experimental kit for this, keeping things clean. These weapons ought to be useful for parties without magic users, too. Yes, let's make test subjects out of our customers. Rimuru, why are you grinning evilly? Oh, just your imagination, Kurobe. He promised me that he'd get production of a full lineup underway soon. With his consent, we now had a plan in action. We'd have to use a lot of high-quality magisteel, but it would provide training for the apprentices, and it'd let us test things out and produce market-quality goods suited for on-the-field use. I was already picturing these blades being part of the standard-issue uniform on anyone ranked lieutenant or above in our army. These, combined with a few cores to cover for the bearer's weak elements, had the potential to raise the standard for all our forces. Okay, have at it. Yes, sir. For now, it was all on Kurobe's hands.
All right. Sonic, you take over.
Mm-hmm. All right.
For these next 5 minutes, it's all you.
Oh, shit. Hold on.
Yeah.
For now, Kurobe.
Yeah. So, Sir Rimuru, did some kind of business bring you here today? Is where you're at.
One more time?
So, Sir Rimuru, did some kind of business bring you here today?
Sir... What the heck? What is going on?
We have a posture check and a hydrate.
What is going on?
Thank you.
So, there we go. It's some kind of... There we go. Alright. So Rimuru, did some kind of business bring you here today? That jogged my memory. The sudden reveal made me forget all about it, but I did need to speak with him. Yes, well, it's about this sword of mine, I said as I took out my straight sword and presented it to Kurobe. Does it have a slot in it now? No, not that. I wouldn't have been so surprised today otherwise. Right, yeah. My blade was infused with my magic force and colored darker than the darkest of nights. But now, when I held it and let my magic flow into it, what? The blade, it's glowing gold. No, It's the entire rainbow. A whole array of colors. Kurobe stared agape at it, clearly shocked. Amazed, huh? Well, so was I. Let me tell you. So that's why I'm here. I was in my chamber looking at it, when all of a sudden, this happened. It surprised just about anyone. This dazzling rainbow sword. We didn't mix gold into it or anything, but now it's just now it was shining brighter than
Orichalc.
Orichalc, thank you. I had something in my throat there too. So I looked into it and
understood. This is the divine metal Crimson Steel.
Is what I got back.
Also, you're now part of the LGBTQ slime.
Yeah.
LGBT slime. Yeah.
You have the LGBT sword. You have acquired. Your sword has acquired the title of LGBT Slayer.
No, no,
no. This is fun. Do it more.
No.
No. Thank
you.
you.
See what I get into it. Oh, it's your motorcyclist. No, you to the motorcyclist. Okay.
Sorry about your dick.
Seriously. Every Monday.
Around the same time. We have to like time it now.
Sorry about your dick.
Oh man. Anyway,
every fucking Monday. Anyway,
is what I got back.
Hey,
thank you, Jesus.
Guys.
Apparently, this really is Apparently, it's this really great metal that performs even better. Or Orichalc, thank you. I produced. But I decided to visit Kurobe to find out for sure. What could this be? I can't assess it at all. It's called Crimson Steel, apparently. Crimson Steel? That actually exists? That's a mythical ore said to retain its elemental attributes for eternity. I thought it was just a fairy tale. Kurobe was almost too excited for words. I had just thought it was
for something that's for something that he's supposed to be in awe of. You said that very nonchalantly.
Like it was a snack cake at a store.
I mean, I feel like Reamer would just be like, "It's just Crimson Steel, right? No big deal, right?"
That is a Twinkie.
Well, this isn't Crimson. This is Kurobe.
That's Kurobe saying it, not Reamer.
They don't. Okay, I have to deal with. I have to take a quote from Moon. They don't say who is saying the line. There we go.
This is a straight back and forth between two characters.
I know. Anyway, all right, I'll reread it. All right.
Retain its elemental attribute for all eternity.
All right, so I'll be.
Crimson Steel.
That's
this actually exists. That's a mythical ore said to retain its elemental attribute for all eternity. I thought it was just a fairy tale.
All right, that was the 5 minutes. Yay!
Kurobe was almost too excited. Let me finish this last bit at least. Kurobe was almost too excited for words.
No, you have to say this. You have to say this last part as Palpy from the Valley. Yeah.
Kurobe was almost too excited for words. I had thought it was a pretty remarkable mutation.
No, like oh my god, you have to do Palpy from the Valley.
From the Valley.
Oh, the Valley.
From the Valley.
So Merrick, go Merrick with it.
Girl.
Oh my god.
Kurobe was almost too excited for words. I had thought it was a pretty remarkable mutation, but I guess it was even better than I thought.
There you go, girl.
Yes.
Yes, queen.
Slay. You go. Yeah, we're gonna slay up here.
Slay Senate. Slay. Slay Senate.
Oh my god.
We're going to slay.
Luke Skywalker,
Commander.
Slay.
Commander Valley, the time has come to slay Order 66.
Jesus.
And my any idea of me being straight just went out the window.
Oh, excuse me.
I have a.
Not related.
There it is. There it is. That's the LGBT slay. All right. So the two of us began researching the Crimson Steel Blade. I don't know why I said researching that way, but okay. What we found was that it didn't... Yes, exactly. What we found was that it didn't react to anything apart from my own magic force. When Kurobe gave it a try, it remained jet black as usual. Metallically speaking, Sorry, Metallica.
Metal
But,
Gear.
Yeah.
No, Metallica.
Oh.
Mechanically speaking, it just reacted like
Yep.
Magisteel at that point. Even though it was really Crimson Steel, it's apparently the ultimate metal, one that repels all types of wavelengths. It even fully absorbs light without reflecting it, which is why it was so dark in color. This was also why, amazingly enough, it defied all attempts at analyze and assess it. Oh, to analyze and assess it. I was like, wait, what? Only when I ran my magic through it, transformed it into battle mode, did it begin to shine. I was worried it'd stand out too much if I whipped it out in public.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
But by now, I knew that as long as no magic was in it, it behaved. It was also way more durable than your average weapon because it could retain its elemental attribute for eternity. That meant it was basically unbreakable. If it ever did break for some reason, I could just infuse some magic to repair it. It made me wonder how a fight between two Crimson Steel blades would turn out, but it's not like there's any way to test that out. One thing I could say right now, however, is that this sword really was suited for me. Compared with anything else in the world, its evolution had made it impossibly durable. Combined with my absolute defense, it ought to stand up to some pretty rough use. Even better, this sword wasn't yet complete. I was planning to chisel out some slots on the hilt for cores, so I could change its element at will. Just imagining that put me in a dream state. It's already an excellent piece, and it'll get even better? So much to look forward to. What a blade that is, though. It hardly looks like I forged it any longer. Oh, not at all, Kurobe. You did great work on this. Thanks, Sir Rimuru. I'm always glad to hear that from you. It took some time, it took someone like Kurobe to birth this sword. He was endlessly modest about himself, but there was no doubt in my mind. Now I'm wondering if I could have beaten Hinata with this. A Kurobe masterpiece like this has to be equivalent to Legend class, right? But Kurobe himself surprised me even further. Against Moonlight? Her own Legend class? Well, maybe even better than that, eh? With this blade, maybe we're getting into God class territory. Like what beat Sir Veldora himself. God class. The ultimate of lofty peaks. No weapon of that class was known to currently exist, and none were even described in legend or tradition. But here it was. In fact, Milim's Tema sword, similarly magical, was also in this class. She showed it to me once. I couldn't assess it back then, but... Huh?
Totally forgot she had a sword.
Oh, yeah. But Raphael stated that it was higher quality than Hinata's Moonlight, and now I had something that came to that point. This amazing culmination of force, even now, Kurobe thought, it'd rank among the upper echelons of Legend class weaponry. So I felt safe expecting it'd reach that peak in the end. We both marveled at the sword for a while. Man, swords like this are just so cool, aren't they? They sure are. I don't see patterns along with the sword this pretty too often at all. The Japanese-style Hamon pattern, the fruits of it all, of Kurobe's technical talents, dazzled the eye up and down the perimeter. Up and down the permanent, unbuilding crimson steel. It seemed like a work of art as we gazed at it, sighing in reverie. It was so beautiful that I thought we could have stood there staring forever. Truly the best sword in the world, and it's still evolving. It seemed safe to say that I had a God-class blade here, and considering how low my expectations had been at first, I couldn't be any more elated. I heard hurried footsteps coming toward us. They didn't slow down when they reached the door to my office. Instead, the door flew open without a knock. Only Milim would do this. If anyone besides Milim tried something so rude with me, they'd swiftly face a pummeling at the hands of Rigard, or in the case of Veldora or Ramirez, no snacks for a week. Today was a special day, however, so I let it slide after all. Rimuru! It's hatching! It's about to hatch! She had taken to constantly carrying that egg around with her as of late, never letting it go, and she'd been holed up in my nation instead of her own, meaning she wanted easy access to me in case of complications. I could tell she was frantic. The avatar core, the egg nestled within the body of Milim's lifelong friend Gaia, was now beating a rhythm with its faint glow. Clearly, it was a matter of time. Gaia was about to be born as an entirely new sort of monster.
Yeah.
With a few new placed cracks, a tiny-sized dragon burst from the egg. Call it a mini dragon if you want. Maybe about 1.5 feet
It's a
tall.
baby dragon.
You'd never guess this was originally a chaos dragon. Is that you, Gaia? Girl and dragon hugged each other tight. A tearful reunion.
Glad someone got it.
It's a baby dragon.
No, it's it looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster. Oh, good. Sorry.
Well, I mean,
It's the baby dragon.
it could be a blue eyes white dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Gaia had wasted no time in hatching after Milim burst through the door. Now the great danger was past, so presumably she'd be going back home now. Or not. Right! Time for us to head out on an adventure with Gaia. I was expecting she'd say that, so I had my answer preloaded. Isn't Frey worried about you? As Milim's sort of guardian, Frey was bound to have a word or two to say about her frolicking around the countryside without her permission. If Gaia was still incubating, that was one thing, but now that the birth went off without a hitch, Milim no doubt had a pile of work waiting for her. No need to worry. No need to worry. Rimuru attacked Milim with concerned advice, but Milim parried with the strike. I kid. But hey, if she says so, I'm not going to refute her. I had been pretty busy recently cleaning things up post Maribel, only now had I regained a little me time. Maybe we should all go out and have some fun for a change. Besides, she smugly said, it's exactly what she needs. Dragons are apex predators, so she'll only eat monsters she catches herself, even as a baby. I gotta teach her how to hunt. Dragons, she said, didn't start that easily. In fact, as long as Gaia had ready access to water and magicules, that was enough to live on, but it wasn't enough to grow on. If we wanted her to be big and strong, she needed exercise in the form of battle, and good food in the form of slain monsters. Hence, Milim explained the need for a thrilling adventure right now. To me, it looked like she just wanted to play hooky from Frey again, but in her own way, maybe she was thinking pretty deeply about this. All right. In that case, I know the perfect spot. Oh, the labyrinth, right? You guessed it. And in another minute, we kicked off Operation Get Gaia Big and Strong. But first,
They're going on a grind fest.
But first, we needed some help.
We just got a new summon. We got to level it up.
Yep. I decided to tap Veldora and Ramirez, reassembling the old gang for another labyrinth challenge. With Gaia among us, we now had a party of 5. I remember that old Fox show. And even though she was still a newborn, she'd be safe in the dungeon, or at least much more so than the outside world, where God knows what could be waiting for her. Quahaha! We're all busy right now, but of course we'll do you a favor. Feel free to tap upon all my powers. Yes. Now that we're here, you've got nothing to worry about. Put your mind at ease. Gaia's in our hands now. I was suddenly very concerned. No, it's all right. Just trust them. Veldora and Ramirez had matured after all. They could factor people besides themselves into their decisions, and even Milim understood that this was education for Gaia, not playtime. I doubted she'd let herself run too wild. All right, let's go. And with my shout, we all possessed our avatars simultaneously, and our adventure began. Job 1 was to power level Gaia. It was Veldora, Ramirez, Milim, and me with the flight-capable Gaia behind us. As a dragon, in fact, formerly a chaos dragon who could have destroyed the world, she couldn't have been a wimp, and she didn't disappoint. After just a few battles, she had already begun grasping the general idea, spewing wide-range breath attacks at whole groups of foes. Her chaotic breath was a thick, concentrated miasma tinged with a curse that corroded every type of matter. It was close to rot, part of Beelzebub's arsenal. In effect, and it was easily strong enough to keep basic-level monsters at bay. Gaia also bore the earth element within her. This ability, writ into her soul, made it possible to control gravity. If the Chaos Dragon released from that seal earlier had any sort of intelligence left, I shudder to think about it, there'd be chaotic breath and gravity fields that weighted on you like boulders all over the joint. The fallout would have been far, far worse. But that's in the past. Now Gaia was Millam's cute little pet and our erstwhile companion, nothing to be afraid of. Then a blood boar appeared, a B-rank monster with powerful kicks who lurked around floor 30 and below. Its head and shoulders were protected with hard bone and muscle, its outer hide thicker than steel. It was nearly 7 feet long, but it could still headbutt you at speeds up to 30 miles an hour. Nothing to trifle with. Run into one in a long, straight corridor and you'd be up the creek with no easy escape. But even someone that dangerous was no foe of ours. Gaia promptly broke out her gravitational magic, slowing the blood boar's charge down. Not missing the opportunity, Millam's single swipe hit at a weak point, felling the beast. The blood boar got its name because its mane was dyed red with its foe's blood, but now it was a kind of staple food for Gaia. It was a pretty good achievement for day one, and I looked forward to her future growth. We were now a perfect team. Gaia had a skill called Gravity Field that potentially reduced the effects of physical attacks. Deploying one alongside my magical barrier gave us a good debuff for any magic attacks as well. We developed a few team moves like this over the next few days, and before long, Gaia became the keystone of our party battles. After that, between on-the-field battle practice and Gaia feeding, we had made it down to floor 49. Awaiting us was Bovix, the boss that gave us so much unexpected trouble last time. Quahaha! Bovix better prepare to be flattened. Yep. I'll barely even have to lift a finger. Ha ha ha! Now I'm getting pumped up. Quee! They were all really into it. What? Wasn't I too? Don't be ridiculous. We're all pitching in for Gaia's sake, remember? Bullshit.
It's all for Gaia's sake, right?
But, maybe a little. Maybe we're having a little fun, but it's all for Gaia's education, okay? It was with that lofty cause in mind that we left the labyrinth after another day of hard work. Looks like you're having fun. Waiting at the door was the spine-freezing sight of Frey with a friendly smile and a couple bulging veins on her forehead. Frey? Wait, no, I can explain all this. I didn't think it was the first time I heard that line. I wonder why. And I had a feeling the rest of this conversation would seem awfully familiar too. You promised me you'd come home after Gaia was born, didn't you? No, Gaia needs me. Yes, I know she does. But is that a good reason to break your promise? But her training! And just like Gaia, you yourself need training of your own. Wouldn't you agree? She got her. It was just beyond Millam's ability to out-debate Frey. No matter how willful and self-indulgent she was, Millam couldn't beat her, and I had no intention of grabbing that tiger by the tail either. Who'd ever want to get caught up in that? I mean, all Frey's giving her is the cold, hard truth. Millam wound up resorting to whining and carrying on in the end, but it was all fruitless against the iron wall of Frey's smile as she dragged her away, which, well, it was Millam's fault this time, too, so what could I say? If she'd at least let Frey know first, I doubt she would have gotten this pent up about it, but oh well. I'll come back soon, Millam shouted as she left. But I didn't think she'd be able to pull that act a third time. She wasn't being grounded or anything. I'm sure she'd she had Frey's permission for regular visits, although maybe not for a bit now. Even Frey knew the dangers of not letting. God damn it! I straight up lost several pages there.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yep. Hang on.
Mm.
I'm in the 40s. I know that much. I think policies, preferred judges
I
had
thought
some
you
of their
said
own
you were
work
50.
with. I'm worried about Regan by himself.
He's 30.
Indeed. Okay. Let's shut up.
Like 13% away, and I think.
Dangers of
12%.
not letting Milam take a breather now and then. That's why she was going easy, but if Milam kept pressing her luck, who knows what happened. Not that I should butt into someone else's family drama, but maybe I should teach Milam the benefits of keeping your coworkers on the same page at all times. Such were my thoughts as I saw Milam leave. For now, I'd have custody of Gaia. Her unlimited use resurrection bracelet kept her safe in the labyrinth, and she had a ton of food to eat in there. What's more, I could set my avatar to auto mode and have it work in tandem with her down there, helping her train. She's still a bit young for Milam to take over that process, so we planned to transfer her over once she was strong enough. I thus had a new labyrinth companion. By the way, I had no way of knowing this, but our party of 5 wandering the halls was becoming feared as a unique set of bosses. Rumor had it that they'd present themselves with one of 2 strength levels. The normal one was troublesome enough, but sometimes they'd ratchet it up even further. Essentially, whenever we directly controlled our avatars, we were treated as nightmare beyond anyone's ability. I'd only learn about that a little while later. All right. It's page 45 for me, but Shim, I'm going to let you take us home for the last 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
If we kept playing down there while Milam was gone, we'd never hear the end of it. She'd tell right away from how our avatars grew while we had auto mode turned off. And even without that, she had a sixth sense for that kind of thing. It's like playing with fire. So let's go over some of the more serious things I've been working on. One urgent piece of business was establishing rules for our dealings with the Western nations. As Demon Lord and leader of the Jura Tempest Federation, I had final say on pretty much anything within my borders. I left some of that to Regard and the rest, but the most important matters required my confirmation. I had a lot of power, really. Our judicial system, legislation, and administration ran on my complete discretion. I held sway over all 3, giving me supreme authority over all affairs of state. I was also commander-in-chief, running the main keystone of our nation. One order and I could send the whole army on the march, and any officers could only be appointed with my approval. We were a federation in name only. I was a de facto despot. Of course, in practice, I spread these responsibilities around a bunch. Our administration was entirely Rigard's field, and Benny Maru, serving as my agent, enjoyed full control of the military. We were in the midst of fielding talented new people to serve as their assistants. Meanwhile, Rigard had been studying the concept of a 3-branch government. Rugard, Ragard, and Rogard, all former Goblin elders, each held the top position in our judicial, legislative, and administrative branches, respectively. But there was a problem. The idea of a 3-branch system was that every branch had checks and balances over the other. The legislative setup of Japan was no exception. But in our case, the border between legislative and administrative was far too vague, and I had no idea what to do about it. For one thing, we needed to establish an actual legislature. I decided to divide this into an upper and lower house. I'd name the members of the upper house, and we'd vote on the lower house members, that kind of thing. An appointment to the upper house was for life, unless you caused some kind of problem and were unseated. Only votes could get you into the lower house. Elections, of course, aren't easy things. It would be trial and error process for us. It'd be the legislative branch's sole job to enact laws and the administratives to follow them and run the nation. I wanted our administration to be loaded with talent. Looking at the Japanese government, even if the prime minister changed out pretty frequently, the bureaucrats behind the nuts and bolts operation of the country were like steadfast mountains, barring recent events. I needed people with the perseverance to doggedly build up long-lasting policies over time, never throwing in the towel. Long-term projects often grew a lot of fat on them, and administrators could always get bought off and do nefarious things, but I hoped that everyone keeping a careful watch over matters would prevent that. For these administrative positions, I recommended the elders of the assorted species associated with Tempest. Those too advanced in age to serve could name representatives to fill in for them. Going forward, I thought we'd see this evolve into a meritocracy. For now, we still needed to talk about alleviating opposing interests between races, and in the future, I imagine there'd be more of a sense of unity. of a single nation of Tempestians. It'd take time, but I wanted our nation's policy to be peaceful reconciliation. That's fine and all, of course, but there was an issue. A lot of the talent pool for this kind of thing belonged to the weaker species, while the heads of the more warlike races weren't suited for working with complex written documents. This was kind of a big problem. Should I focus on our strength as monsters or on our intelligence and willingness to cooperate with humans? The question agonized me. No matter their muscle, I couldn't give major authority to the lawless. This was public knowledge around Tempest, and the beefier Tempestians were kind enough to be satisfied with military posts for me. But that meant they had no authority to speak about our administration's direction, and depending on how our policies went, that might sow some discord later. Our legislative leaders would gather feedback from the people and stamp their seal of approval on it. But if our administration was run by the brainiest of the brainy among our weaker races, the stronger ones could stand to lose their civil rights. Even now, I could see the discontent to that result. A government administrator had a heavy task. They had to manage the nation's budget, taking command over the massive amount of riches flowing into Tempest. Molly Mile was our top man in finances, but he alone wasn't enough to catch any discrepancies. Our administration also had to oversee how our land was apportioned out. I wanted proper zoning and development, but that whole process looked easy to muck up. To prevent logjams, they needed the authority to send out orders under my name. Finally, the judicial system. The judiciary's most important job was to deliver justice for arrested suspects. Policing came under the authority of the administration, but all three branches would have the power of arrest. One of the checks and balances. The judiciary had to judge them in courts, and that meant it had to be the most impartial branch of all, not listening to public feedback and solely protecting the legal order. Judging by the law and not from your gut is a lot harder than it looks. And keeping tabs on that was another consideration that gave me a headache. So Riegert and I were studying hard in order to flesh out our three-branch system. The legislature would listen to the people, talk things over, and enact laws. Being consistent with this would help us pursue an open government. For the administration, we were training Riegert and other talents to serve as bureaucrats. I also wanted to hurry along the establishment of a law enforcement agency in order to strengthen the authority of our nation's core organizations. Benimaru's military, as well as Soi's Team Kuriyami intelligence unit, answered only to me. To keep from duplicating orders and causing confusion, I decreed that they didn't need to follow the administration's commands along those lines. I planned to appoint a fairly big name to lead our public prosecutor's office. That left one more thing, a problem with our judiciary. Running an impartial court could easily make our judges into targets. If I wanted to be thorough with this, I needed people with not just intellectual skill, but physical strength. Our judges would have bodyguards, of course, but that still left me with concerns. Anyone who did something like attack a judge out of spite would absolutely get the death penalty, but some attackers may just be willing to accept that. Monsters are far stronger than people. No matter how well guarded you were, you could be lunged at in a flash. Thus, I preferred that our judges had some strength of their own to work with. In that case, I'd be worried about Rugard by himself. Indeed. He's my right-hand man in every way, but in terms of muscle, he'd lose out to an army lieutenant. Rugard would never let your average youth beat him, but Rugard could be a calculating schemer, but in his decisions, he was completely above the board. The judge's bench was the perfect position for him, but if push came to shove, he wasn't strong enough to defend himself. Roger definitely could hold his own on one-on-one against an army captain, though. Shamey was already exercising his authority over our assorted government organizations right now. Transferring him to the judiciary would be tough. Also, I'd really like to establish a public prosecutor's office in our administration. Gupta and the gang can keep tabs on criminal activity around the nation, but doing the same for our leaders and legislators is asking a little too much, isn't it? Yes, you're right. In addition to our diverse array of monsters, we have a number of well-known magic-born visiting our lands. The Founders Festival has attracted many powerful fellows to the city as well. They could potentially cause all kinds of strife. The Founders Festival had a lot of positive impacts for us. It also attracted a bunch of would-be strongmen with a penchant for violence. That was, in a way, what we aimed for, but some of those fools couldn't keep their brawling inside the labyrinth. Our security team had beefed up its forces since Gupta's return, but to Riegard, that didn't seem like enough. You mean Magicborn who are A rank or so? Just a few yet, but yes. They didn't show any outward signs of violence, but I do think we should stay on our guard. He was right. Better to be prepared. There was a wide variance between people's abilities to fight, so if we waited until Magicborn went berserk, it'd be too late. So, a prosecutor and a judiciary, and we still need to decide who to send as our Council of the West representative. Everybody's already got enough on their plates, so I hate to make any unwise personnel shifts. It could lead to potential chaos indeed. A lot of headaches. Our system was starting to fall into place. Our laws being enacted, but our mechanism for keeping the whole thing running was still weak. And don't get me started on all the unfilled posts. I know this is one of the harmful side effects of growing so fast, but what I'd give for some more people. But no point in stewing over people who weren't there. I needed to change of pace, so I decided to make a couple field trips to our work sites. Geld's construction of a new capital for the former Beast Kingdom of Eurazania was proceeding smoothly. All the foundational work was already done, the stakes driven into the bedrock. The magically reinforced concrete kept in place by rebar and steel frames, and seeing it was awe-inspiring. Magic-infused solid rock provided more merits than simply being sturdier. It emitted its own wavelength of magical force, allowing it to repel lower-level magic. You couldn't transport it with gravity reduction spells, which was a disadvantage, but that merit still made it worth the trouble. Once that huge tower-like palace is completed, it'll be impervious to most magic attacks, whether from the outside or inside. On this site, I could see gigantic blocks of cut-out and polished magical rock, several hundred times harder than concrete, lined up in rows. In the middle, supported by this foundation, was a support column that thrust into the heavens. Blocks were suspended from it to construct the outer walls. The scale was so gigantic that even this column struck a dizzying presence. People darted around like ants. Everything looked out of scale, proving just how massive the structure was. Well, hello, Sir Rimuru. Thank you so much for coming. Geld ran up to me, grinning as he greeted me. I had used Dominate Space to transfer myself there, or myself here. Yeah, not wanting to get in the way of things, but Geld must have noticed me anyway. Hey, Geld, long time no see. I'm glad to see everything's going well.
You mean Tyrone?
Thank you very much.
Huh? Sounds like you needed to be reminded of, oh, he's the pig man.
You'll see why soon.
Yeah,
I'll show you shortly, but yeah, you'll see what I mean soon.
Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone will be delighted to hear that from you. His cheerful laughter echoed across the site, much to my relief. He wouldn't be acting that way if things were awry. You can only enjoy your job if you were working in a bright, happy atmosphere. No, I mean it. This is better work than I imagined. It almost feels like you'll be done early, doesn't it? Yes, and I can only think it's because we've all opened up to each other. As Geld explained, he had been thinking for a while after our previous discussion. He took his thoughts to the POW Magicborn, going around and listening to their complaints and grumbling. If someone just doesn't care, then nothing you can say will reach their heart. Geld wasn't the type to rule by force. Instead, he started by learning everyone else's thoughts. A lot of them feared their future treatment. Given how they openly warred against you, Sir Rimuru, they worried they'd all be done in once construction was completed. Huh? There's no way I'd do that. Of course not. We all know you're not that sort of cold-hearted demon lord. But they are new to all this, and they didn't know your nature, so I imagine they still had their concerns. So I told them all about my own experiences. To be exact, he told them all about my battle against the Orc Lord and what became of the Orcish armies under him. That was a long time ago, Jesus. The Magicborn seemed only half ready to believe it, but there were many high orcs in the construction team, and they all backed up Geld's story, helping ease any doubts. Some of them said you were being too much of a pushover, Sir Rimuru, so I said to them, so what? If you can't even defeat me in battle, how are you going to rebel against a demon lord? That quieted them all down. Geld grinned. If this was or Xion or Diablo, they might have blown their top and brutally murdered any Magicborn who said that. Again, it showed me just how broad-minded Geld was. So he managed to open the hearts of our former POWs. Once a week, he said, he rewarded their efforts with wine and a tasty spread. Now they were cooperating as one, all smitten by Geld's sheer manliness. Ooh. They really felt like they were being useful, which was the biggest thing of all. If they thought their work wasn't being recognized, it'd kill their self-esteem. Hard work not only freed them from being prisoners, it also showed them the joy of a job well done. It should be obvious, but this was far more efficient than any kind of forced labor. So the higher level Magicborn's cooperation was providing us with a huge boost. With the increased labor force, we no longer had staff shortages. Work started to just hum along, and so construction was going faster than I expected. Compared with a building job in my old world, the pace was kind of frightening. In fact, there really was no comparison. All this with no heavy machinery driven by elbow grease alone. It really made you take a step back, but then again, one look at the work site quelled all questions. Common sense never applied to Magicborn. Some could take weights of several tons and just heft them up on their shoulders all by themselves. Any scrap material or rock could be pulverized with a single fist. Flight was a given with these guys, so safety at lofty heights was never a concern. Any regulations drafted with humans in mind simply didn't apply. I just had to nod in awe and accept it. No wonder this was going so fast. Should I pause here or should I keep going?
Hold on. Where are you at?
There's an asterisk. No wonder this was going so fast.
No wonder this was going so fast. No wonder this.
And this wasn't the only building site. That's the next paragraph.
And okay, yeah, that's where we're gonna stop. Thank you. All right, good.
Well,
All right, that's where I was gonna tell you to stop. Anyway, so You stopped at the right place. I just had to pause for a moment. Guys, thank you. Honestly, the sad fact is, I don't know how we're going to handle this next week.
Oh?
What do you mean?
We don't actually have that much left in the chapter.
Really?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We just have a little bit.
Oh.
This is how much we read today. This is how much we read today. This is how much
we
have
could just.
left.
I mean, we could probably just make it just go right into the next chapter.
Oh yeah, next week. Yeah. So we'll probably do chapter 1 and start chapter 2, which is great because guys, here's how chapter 2 starts. The demon trampled across the dark realm. Yeah, awesome. We get right into the Diablo shit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We get right into the Diablo shit.
Cool. We're getting into Inuyasha crossover territory. That's cool. I'm excited.
All right. So that's what's gonna happen. If you guys don't mind, we're gonna go into CJ DeChamp after this. We're gonna watch that.
CJ DeChamp.
Not live here on Twitch. We're not gonna watch that live on Twitch. We're gonna do that after the stream. I want guys, if you haven't seen it, you need to go check out CJ DeChamp. He's the guy that does the most disrespectful moments in anime history. Moon has already watched this, but he knows why we're watching this because it's great. Most disrespectful moments in anime history, part 7. The first 2 are all a 3-in-1 pack, and it's from season 2 of Slime.
No.
Oh yeah,
it was first 3.
The first 3 are all from season 2 of Slime, and it's just beautiful. So we're gonna check those out. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have fun. So there's that. Guys, thank you so much for coming by, hanging out. I will see you guys tomorrow. I may be streaming it if my motherboard will let me. I'm gonna be streaming Lightfall content tomorrow. So come by my stream.
Cool.
Yeah. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and raid. Let's
Shadow.
see who's on. Let's see.
Raid the Shadow.
We're gonna raid the Shadow. No. We're gonna raid Director Nasty because he's. What's he doing?
Is he playing Elden Ring again?
I think he might be. I don't know.
Yeah. I hope he beat. By this point, he probably did beat Borgott.
I don't even know.
Oh no, Godric. That's the one he was on.
That's it.
So.
Yeah, we're gonna raid him. Yep. So let's go raid him.
Forefathers one and all. Yep.
Forefathers one and all.
Bear witness.
Yes.
So let's hit him with the slimy time raid. All right, let's
prepare yourself for Slay. Congratulations,
Yep.
you are being slimed.
All right, so slimy time.
All right, we have to comment like, congratulations, you are being slimed.